Check, 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 check. Check 1, 2, check to the 3, check to the 4. Yo, yo, yo. Straight love on this side. That's a slide. Search for the side when it's up for the 5. For the 5, for the 5, show it live. That's how I do it at the 10 to 5. And not the 5, not the 5 for the 5. Shit spot for the stop in the summer. Yeah, 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 yeah. Set for the summer. Sit spot for the shot in the summer. 6 summer, 6 summer. Start from a 36 summers. Pump, hummer. I'm a simmer song, then the ship mean bummer. I'm a strummer. Silk side, put the stop, put the stop, put the tip till the drive. Till the ride, so shy. This is how we do it. Do you wanna slide? Slide, slide. Slide with the flip doing the drive. Going down I-5. But from the side, vibe to the I-5.
Crucial summer. Come and get in on the fun. It's a crucial summer. And it's on.
For the dinner, and they coming out for dinner. I'm a motherfucking winner. You the motherfucking spinner. Big spinner, motherfucking winner. Couldn't get any dinner.
Crucial summer. Come and get in on the fun. It's a crucial summer. And it's on.
Hey, here we go. Let's drop to the road. Niggas know we for the shake. Hit us up on the set and the finish to the sea show. Ten the finish when the diesel. To the fact to the ground when the sea with the see through. Hip shot for the shot on the summer. Ten shot and the shots on the summer. From summer, since in the summer. Since they wanna be a bummer. Ain't a bummer with a summer. Then it's in the fact and the shot and the summer. Only wanna hummer. Then the shot and the sam. I ain't wanna really wanna. So summer, blue swamp in the runner.
Come and get in on the fun. It's a crucial summer. And it's on.
For the steady flow. That shot on the radio. And the radio. On the radio.
Crucial summer. Come and get in on the fun. It's a crucial summer. And it's on.
Hey. Like this, y'all. That, y'all. Matter of fact, y'all. For this fact, y'all. Take off the hat, y'all. Okay. Any day, all day. Let's say, for the song, let's go see Beyonce. When they bouncing and bouncing, this is how I do it. Get them from the outsing. Yep.
crucial summer. Come and get in on the fun. It's a crucial summer. And it's on.
So if you really care,
Hey, shawty,
I mean, if you really
let me talk to you real quick, baby.
well, then open up your heart to me.
Hey, shawty, look, stop playing these games with me. I know in your past he did you real bad, but he ain't the same as me. I noticed your scars, I know you got guards, but that ain't no thing to me. Cause I am who I are, an image of God, I treat you the same as me. Baby girl, this ain't no gimmick, I know what I want and I'm in it to win it. I know money can't buy your love, but if it could, I don't care about the limit. I want your trust and your affection, I give you that and my protection. Plus a lifetime promise that you coming first and never second, baby.
Can you open up to me? Can you open up for me? Can you open up? Can you open up? I ain't like those ones that left you lonely. Can't you see that I'm a different story? Don't gotta tell me tonight. Take your time. I can make it all up.
Got a ticket for two, no love in the crew, just me and you, babe. Let's go on a cruise, let's go to the moon. Oh, it's too hot, well maybe to you. I'm not like most dudes, just open up more. Me and you, girl, we got much more in store. Them other guys know, yeah, they be some boys. I do it all, baby, I get to the core. I know you want more. I do it, I get it. I go past the limit. I know that you love it, but you won't admit it. I get it, but girl, I ain't tripping. I see that you hurting. Let's hit with some living. Just go with the flow. I take you where you wanna go. Girl, you ain't gotta know. Let go, say Geronimo. I keep it strong like abdominals.
Can you open up to me? Can you open up for me? Can you open up?
Shit, nigga, you ain't shit. 50 cigarette smoke in my face, but I walk away, I won't forget. Shorty got a fiddle when she leave it, get me so upset. Ayy.
Hey.
Shit, nigga, you ain't shit. 50 cigarette smoke in my face, but I walk away, I won't forget. Shorty got a fiddle when she leave it, get me so upset. Ayy. Shit, nigga, you ain't shit. 50 cigarette smoke in my face, but I walk away, I won't forget. Shorty got a fiddle when she leave it, get me so upset. Ayy.
What's good? Just doing a pop-up. Anybody seen that show, Mochalatas? Anybody seen that show, The Idol on Max with The Weeknd? What y'all think about that show? One, two. Watch YouTube. What's good, YouTube?
Episode 4 of The Idol literally felt like a fever dream. Like, I woke up today and I said, there's no way that actually happened. There's no way that was real. I mean, I dreamt up an entire episode of Stranger Things one time. One time I was like, hey, remember that episode of Stranger Things where 11 bites the apple with her mind? Like, her mind powers just took a chunk out of that apple? And my boyfriend was like, no, that never happened. You're fucking crazy. You're fucking insane. He didn't say that, but if I were him, I would have wanted to. But that's besides the point. I think think that episode 4 of The Idol can really only make sense if I break it down in 3 different sections. The sections being, huh? What? And now everybody is acting so out of character that I have no idea what is going on anymore. And before we get into talking about it, I actually
Maybe that's what happened to it. I never looked at it like that.
have some news. Please make sure you're sitting down right now. Make sure you're prepared to hear this. I'm just gonna say it. I ain't gay.
I ain't gay.
I actually do have some news though, because apparently The Idol is ending just after 5 episodes, when it was originally supposed to be 6, meaning they cut out an entire episode of the show for God knows what reason. Like, I'm genuinely morbidly curious what was so bad about one of these episodes that HBO just said, you know what, let's just take the L. Like, words can't express how insane that is. They spent millions of dollars not making the show once, but twice to completely refilm it. And it's
Wow. Who's behind this show? I don't even know. Who's the producers and who's behind this show?
how insane that is. They spent millions of dollars not making the show once, but twice to completely refilm it. And especially after how disheveled episode 4 is, it's kind of impossible to imagine how this could possibly conclude in any comprehensible way whatsoever. But I'm just gonna put the damn tape in the VCR already. Episode 4 opens up with The Weeknd singing a song called Jealous Guy, which says things like, I didn't mean to hurt you.
I'm sorry that I made you cry.
Which I wouldn't bring up, but it is pretty much just foreshadowing the end of the episode. Because as you'll see, unfortunately, they try to humanize Tedros. Housekeepers are shown cleaning up things like giant on the wall. They're cleaning up and bottles of alcohol from the tables. Tedros is standing on the balcony and his legs look really tiny. And surprise, surprise, it's not a surprise. We see a shot of Jocelyn's. And that's when we hear housekeepers, and they're talking about how Tedros has short man syndrome.
Tiene de que dicen cosas de él. Ah, porque es chaparrito y porque es el complexa del chaparro. Ah, como Napoleón. Sí.
And I find this very ironic, given the fact that Sam Levinson and The
What up,
Weeknd
Alan?
are both under 6 feet and completely overrode a woman's artistic vision for this show. And let me just firmly state, stop, halt. I do not think that height is important. I just think it's ironic that they are making this comment on short man syndrome when they themselves are considerably short and completely obliterated a woman's initial vision for all of this. If anything, this comment is just about them. The call is coming from inside the house, people. Destiny finds out more information about Tedros, and it's all really bad, of course. Number 1, his real name is Mauricio Costello Jackson.
What is he, Italian?
Nah, he's not Italian. He's got ghetto ass parents. I thought that was suave or some shit.
Number 2, in 2012, he got arrested for kidnapping and abusing his ex-girlfriend.
This motherfucker kidnapped his ex-girlfriend, held her hostage for 3 days,
You ever
and
seen
beat
this
the
show?
living shit out of her.
And number
Alan?
3, when he was on trial for this incident, they found out more shit about him.
He got hit with a slew of other charges.
Meanwhile, the producer, Mike Dean, shows up, and he arrives in a way that I think only a 14-year-old boy would think was just the coolest thing. He's smoking out of a giant bong that he just takes a fat rip from as soon as he steps out of the car. Like, he hasn't even closed the door yet. And there's smoke pouring out of his car like it's fucking Spirit Halloween. Like, it's just comical to imagine him driving with that much smoke in his car. So then Mike Dean goes around the house clapping to see if there's any echo in the room, and he can choose what room to record in. But like,
don't they have a
why
studio
would he
already?
even bother clapping in giant fucking
First of all, I don't know if anybody saw this or watched this show, but I watched it just to check it out because, I don't know, I felt like people were hating on it from the jump. Even when they did like Sundance or some shit, I don't know. So I felt like they were hating on it from the jump. So I was like, damn, how bad could this be? So now I'm curious how the shit gonna end because it gets real twisted. But yeah, this part she's talking about right now, I was curious too. I'm like, she got a studio. So why is he going through the house looking for a place to build a studio when she had a studio already in other episodes? That was a little weird to me.
Rooms like this made out of concrete that have zero sound cancellation.
No, this is way too accurate.
I wonder if this giant fucking concrete room will be too echoey. So they set up their equipment and Jocelyn starts singing her new song, which is about not wanting to make her own decisions and her enjoying being controlled, basically.
I don't wanna decide things for myself on my own.
Meanwhile, Destiny is literally suggesting that they kill Tedros to Haim.
Can I make a suggestion?
Please.
I don't think we should kill this motherfucker.
And when Haim says he doesn't like that idea, she goes,
Why not? You getting fucking soft? Don't be no fucking pussy, Jaime. Come on.
what? You don't want to murder people anymore? Does this imply that they have murdered people before? Okay, sure. I mean, I would have loved to see that storyline. But Haim is like, no. We cannot murder anybody. What a party pooper. Ah! No. We can't kill him. Trust me. I got another plan. And his plan is to send Destiny into the house as like a kind of a spy and have her snoop around and like hang out with them and then come back to him and give him all the details. And then hopefully they might find a little clink in his armor.
Fuckfaces like this always have a weak spot. Let me know every detail.
By the way, I just want to mention that I think that this character Destiny is pretty funny. Or this actress, I
She's
should
funny as
say,
hell.
has a knack for like comedic timing. And I'm just saying, like, her not being fully utilized in this show is honestly criminal. When Destiny arrives to the house, she's greeted by Chloe. She's being a baby as per usual.
Hi. I'm Chloe.
I mean, she literally skips over to Destiny.
All right.
Destiny is my favorite name.
Even just that, see what I mean? Destiny is so good.
All right.
But on a serious note, Chloe ends up showing Destiny one of her songs.
Tell me to be different.
And that's when Chloe tells her that Tedros saved her life.
How you know Tedros?
He saved my life.
And also that number one, she was living on the streets. Number two, she was a addict. And number three, she's fucking 17 years old.
How old are you, Chloe?
18.
This makes sense for a cult, okay? I know that. Cult leaders are notoriously pedophiles and sex offenders. But what doesn't make sense is the way that this show has already needlessly sexualized her. In episode 2, not only does she immediately get naked, she walks around the house in her underwear and they show a shot of her ass for like no reason. Like the show could have definitely survived without this shot of her ass. And she also watched Tedros and Jocelyn have sex while sucking on her fingers. And look, this actress is 27 years old, but the way that this show both infantilizes her and sexualizes her is very weird. Meanwhile, we see Jenny entering a meeting with a record label, or more specifically, Jocelyn's record label. And as this is going on, Destiny listens to Jocelyn's new song, and after hearing these lyrics, I don't want to decide things on my own. Her only note to any of it is that you need to really go there with your voice, specifically when she says, yeah.
The beginning part, you know, you're like, yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it sounds like. Kind of feels like exactly what you did, like a shrug,
No,
like,
it's- yeah, it's like-
And so Tedros is like,
I got just the trick.
and then in front of everyone, he blindfolds her and her as she's singing so she can say yeah with a more raw tone. Honestly, if you have to do all of that, then maybe you just suck at singing. If you can't sing the word yeah, then what are we doing? And also, it sounds like shit. Not everything has to sound like a sex moan. Even when the most talented artists do that or incorporate like sex noises into the song, it never ends up really flowing all that well. If you've ever heard the song Fight the Feeling by Mac Miller and Kendrick Lamar, you'll know that that's a really good song. But I get the feeling that most people skip the outro of it because it's just women moaning for some reason. I guess my point is that sexual moaning doesn't just automatically make a song good, and I do understand what The Weeknd was trying to go for with the sound of these songs, because he's stated in the past that Deftones were an inspiration for him. And if you don't know, Deftones are known for their sexy, whispery, reverberating songs that sound like distorted and dark. But the key difference between this and Deftones is that this sounds so forced. Chino Moreno's delivery on songs like Risk or Mascara, you don't hear him pushing out like an actual like sexual moan in these songs. Deftone rant to be continued. You'll see what I mean later. All right, so some time has passed. Apparently Destiny has been staying in the house for a week now, and so she calls Haim to fill him in on like the details. She says there's kids here with crazy talent and they all have different sounds.
They got this little girl over here and she writes these crazy lyrics. They're like poetry, like poems. Like if you really stop and listen to stuff, it's like you want to give your life to God.
And as she says this, one of the cult members is singing a song that says this. That's very, that's... And as she continues to explain what's going on with Tedros, she's like borderline complimenting him.
Is he really getting hits out of her?
Mm-hmm. And he's really working on crafting something specific with her.
Like, okay, sure, yeah, I mean, he's only like a but his methods do be methoding. So Jenny's in this meeting, right? And they're offering her like everything. They want her first song to be First Class Sinner. They want to give her a record deal, but she's listing off all of these benefits that she's gonna get. And it goes on for so long that it's honestly comical.
Access to every division and every person in every division of our company. That means we oversee your record. We pair you with the top producers in the industry, features on all the major streaming platforms, bumps in the algorithm, a full team of legal support at your back, merchandise, your face on t-shirts, multi-million-dollar marketing campaigns, access to the best venues across the globe. That means world tour.
And we're gonna come hire a guy to scratch your nuts every 3 hours. We're gonna have another guy come in and carry you like a baby. This is a lot for somebody who's only putting out one song. But sure, let's send her on a world tour. At least somebody's finally coming to Brazil. And while all this is going on, Jocelyn is on the phone with Talia, who is the interviewer from episode 1, who is very sweet, but ultimately not that noteworthy in the show. Like, she's barely been in it, but who knows, maybe she'll make a reappearance in the finale and it'll be huge, it'll be her moment. And then the dialogue of this conversation is just so awkward. Talia is like,
last time I saw you, it seemed like you were having a really tough time. How are you doing now?
And of course Jocelyn's denying that anything's wrong.
How about Nikki and Finkelstein? Are they concerned about the tour?
No, I don't think anybody's concerned about the tour.
But then Talia just asks,
I did hear you calling out for your dead mother during the music video shoot. Are you sure you can handle this?
really? Because I saw you talking to your dead mom. It comes off as really insensitive and out of character from what we've seen from this chick. Are you sure? Are you sure you're good? Because I saw you eating a rat on Figueroa last night. I saw you eat that rat's head. Are they canceling your tour or not? Later on, Xander is singing in the shower and Tedros is creeping on him like Pitch Perfect style, trying to listen to his voice. Until he finally comes up to him while he's in his towel and just scares the shit out of him.
Over futile lines.
Boo.
Fuck!
And then he says,
What, do you think I was gonna butt fuck you?
okay. I mean, Tedros is not beating the gay allegations.
I ain't gay.
But also, I'm so tired. I'm so eepy. I feel like I deserve a discount at Denny's and AMC, dude, because I cannot sit through another portrayal of a queer person who is sexually abusive due to repressing their desires. By freaking Sam Levinson. He did this in season 2 of Euphoria too. Make it stop. I mean, I already guessed that he was kind of fruity because, I mean, he's been electrocuting Isaac's nuts,
Yeah,
and you
it's
don't
crazy.
just like electrocute somebody's nut.
So you saw it? You seen the show, Alec? Have you seen it?
And then
Well, that's probably why they canceled it in 5 seasons.
walk away.
I mean, 5 shows.
But anyways, he
I feel like The Weeknd wrote it. No offense.
asks Xander why he doesn't sing anymore, and Xander keeps like blowing him off. He's like, it's complicated. You wouldn't get it.
Hey, why don't you sing anymore?
I don't know, man. It's complicated.
But when Tedros keeps prying, he finally says,
Why don't you sing anymore? You should really use the gift that God gave you.
You ask Jocelyn how she feels about that.
What does Jocelyn have to do with it?
That's when we roughly cut to Jocelyn walking down the hallway carrying a shock collar, and Tedros is lecturing the cult about the meaning of family.
Does anybody know the meaning of the word family? It's not a child and its mother. No, that's domus.
Right off the bat, Xander is being targeted as an example to the other cult members, and he tries to run away, and Jocelyn tries to defend him,
He fucking betrayed you.
Yeah, but this feels like a little extreme.
but then ultimately agrees to go along with questioning Xander because all she has to do is
All you have to do is tell me if he's lying.
Well, this is just one episode. She's talking about the last one. There's 3 episodes, but yeah, it's a little weird, but I still want to see the last one because I'm curious as hell how they gonna end this shit. Like, all right, y'all done went here, y'all done flipped all around. How do we end this?
So they drag Xander down the stairs and they literally hogtie him, and the interrogation starts, and for every lie he tells, he gets
Why didn't you tell anyone that her mother was humiliating her and beating her?
and Xander says, number 1,
She asked me not to fucking tell anyone, so I didn't.
That's not fucking true, Xander.
and number 2, her mom forced him to sign a contract so that he couldn't sing.
Her mom didn't fucking like that I was a good singer or some shit, so she fucking
Made you sign a fucking contract?
Yeah.
What the fuck did you say?
I said the fucking truth,
That's not
Jocelyn.
fucking true.
Thirdly, he says that Jocelyn controls everyone around her.
She fucking controls everything around her and everyone. And now she's doing it to you.
And Jocelyn denies this, but she denies it in a way where it's like, maybe she is doing something fishy. Or I mean, at least that's what it feels like based on Lily Rose's acting in this scene.
You took everything from me. You've lived in my fucking house since you were 14. You've used me for all my fucking worth, and now you're lying to my fucking face about it.
And that's when Xander completely goes off and he says,
You're more fucking disgusting, fucked up, and depraved than your of a mother.
and Jocelyn goes on dark mode and is like,
Shocked him again.
and Tedros keeps on shocking him, but he does it with a look on his face like he's Pooh Bear walking around looking for honey. He's like, until finally Xander submits and says that he's lying.
I'm lying.
As soon as this started happening, I already knew they were trying to yet again throw in another very unearned plot twist. But this time the plot twist is just downright dumb. At least with the whole Jenny is evil plot twist, you could see that there was some hope there. But this one, where they're trying to flip everything and be like, maybe Jocelyn is the real bad guy and she is controlling everything. Could it work in a world where they actually tried? Maybe. But A, we still don't know ass or dick about her. B, regardless of what she's done in the past, or if she's quote unquote manipulating anyone, that still doesn't change the fact that she is getting abused. Tedros is abusive. And C, it's just so unearned. This narrative is just going from 0 do 100, dude. I don't know if this is a result of like episodes getting cut down, scenes being removed. I got no clue. So we cut to Jocelyn singing another new song, and this one is basically Lana Del Jocelyn Apple.
I can smell you on my skin still from last night.
So Destiny asks Jocelyn about Tedros and ends up revealing that she knows that he's been to jail, and the reason why is because he's basically Andrew Tate Jr. He choked his ex-girlfriend.
And he literally was trying to pimp out girls.
Thought this was a little pimp.
And Jocelyn's trying to water it down, trying to defend him.
And so they kind of like all got together and they went to the cops and they told the cops that he was like their pimp.
Later on that night, Tedros wakes up Jocelyn and he tells her that she needs to go public with her mom's abuse if she wants to sell tickets for her tour.
You want to sell tickets, right? You gotta go public.
Which I'm not assuming anything, but if this does end up like working out, I'm literally going to throw a fit and start literally moonwalking around the room and screaming like a fucking banshee. Because let me tell you something, coming forward with abuse from anybody literally gets you the most harassment you will ever receive in your whole entire life. So that's why it's kind of insane that since episode 3, when she felt uncomfortable talking about this stuff about her mom with just the cult, she's now willing to go on a fucking Instagram live for some reason. She chooses to announce to the world she's been abused on Instagram live. She's literally filming at a grandpa angle too. Like a freaking grandpa's Facebook picture. Like that's the angle.
I promise you, there is a new Jocelyn coming.
And listen, you guys, almost everything about this show is super triggering to me, but nothing got me as bad as when we transition to this next scene and they're playing Deftones' My Own Summer. I couldn't possibly imagine Deftones being ruined for me more than they already have been. I've already had them be TikTokified. Now I'm getting them freaking idolified. Don't get mad at me in the comments. Please just let me gatekeep, let me mourn. But this whole ending of this episode deserves its own section. To describe the end of this episode, I can only think of one word: bizarre. Like, characters in the end of this episode do not act how they've acted the entire time in the show. But let me just shut up and explain. Tedros gets mad at Lei for cleaning up liquor because he's spraying it out of a giant Nerf gun at everyone. And so because she's cleaning, I guess, he decides to just squirt her all over the place. Then all of a sudden, Jocelyn gets mad at him.
Are you fucking serious? She's my friend. You just like embarrassed her in front of everyone.
Like she actually sticks up for her friend. And I know that Jocelyn has mildly protested some of the things that Tedros has done, but she's never actually like said it like this.
She doesn't fucking like you. Why would she like you?
And especially since he's been being a shit stain to Lei this whole entire show, it feels like it's coming out of nowhere. Jocelyn ends up talking to Chloe, who is on Molly presently. But that's when she points out that Diane, or Jenny as I just call her, she's arrived to the party and she's like, I just hope that she's not mad at you.
So she's not mad at you.
Why would she be mad at me?
And that's when she finds out that her and Tedros have been fucking this whole time.
When Tedros told Diane to bring you to the club, she didn't think he would have sex with you.
And that he asked Jenny to bring her to his club to instigate this whole entire thing. So Jenny comes over and tells Jocelyn that her record label has offered her a deal and they've offered her to sing the song First Class Sinner.
Wow. But I didn't say yes. I said I would ask you first.
And Jocelyn tells her to go for it, but as she's doing this, it's very evident that she's not happy.
Why are you crying? I'm really happy for you.
But more importantly, Jocelyn's literal reaction to this information is to text her ex, Rob, who was mentioned once in episode 1, I think.
She was cheated on by somebody who loved her.
Yeah, heartthrob Rob.
When Rob actually gets to the house, Tedros ends up acting really weird. Like he starts pouring him a bunch of shots and pouring himself a bunch of shots. Like he's making himself sick. He's so drunk.
Oh.
And then he starts accusing Rob of being gay by calling him slurs.
What are you, you're an actor, right? Yeah, every actor I know is a fucking
And also tries to karate chop him. And Rob also has like zero reaction to any of this for some reason.
Here we go.
It's just bizarre. Jocelyn runs up to Rob and does one of those freaking, like hug jumps. And she acts like she doesn't even know who Tedros is.
Have you met the Kung Fu Master here?
No.
To which Tedros acts like he's just found out that his wife of 20 years is cheating on him. Like, he looks devastated, which just doesn't make sense for a psychopathic cult leader who is grooming and manipulating an entire cult. Like, who is this character right here? Who is this? It's not Tedros. Jocelyn takes Rob up to her room and he's talking about playing Batman or some shit. I don't know. He's an actor. Do we really care? But the important thing here is that Rob asked Jocelyn why she didn't tell him any of that stuff about her mom.
About your mom? The fact that she'd been abusing you all these years?
To which she immediately deflects.
Well, if I'd known you were gonna come over and talk about my mom, I probably wouldn't have texted you.
And he says that this hurts his feelings.
It actually kind of hurts my feelings.
We find out that she's been ignoring him for a month, and from what we can tell, he didn't actually cheat on her.
For the record, you're the one that said it was boring to be monogamous.
Well, I take it back.
Like, either they had an open relationship or it was one of those, like, friends things where it's like, were they on a break or not? But either way, Rob actually seems like a nice guy.
There's plenty of guys in the world you can have sex with who won't ask you any questions.
And then they proceed to have segs on a fucking zebra print rug in front of the fireplace. Cringe. But Tedros is standing right outside of the door, and he tries to get in briefly before he just like gives up and is just sitting there and like staring at the painting of Prince. Who are you? This is a guy who electrocutes people's nuts. He electrocutes people's necks. He abuses his ex-girlfriends. He tried to pimp people out. Where is this coming from? He threatened a guy in the last episode. He literally beat Jocelyn with a brush. Now he's all of a sudden oh, but I'm the sensitive guy now. I'm just a jealous guy. I'm just a jealous guy. However that song fucking goes. And then finally, on Rob's way out, Xander and this other cult member chick come up to him and ask him if she can get a picture with him.
It's just one photo.
It'll take like 2 seconds, please, bro. All right, sure.
But as soon as they start taking pictures, she like starts to like get all up on him, really like crossing a boundary, while Xander's still taking pictures of this, and they basically are framing his ass. And the episode just ends right there. And I don't usually mention this, but for every episode, there's like a post-episode like commentary with the cast. And at the very end of this episode, in Lily's interview, she says this.
Jocelyn is a very strategic and calculated person. She's getting what she needs, and what she needs is inspiration.
I never watched
So I
any
think
of
they
that
really
end
are
stuff.
going to try to do the whole, she's the crazy one all along. But how they plan to end up getting there with an entire episode missing and no characterization like this whole season, this whole show, is really beyond me. Thank you guys.
That's crazy. Yeah, well, maybe that's it. So I just wondered, did they play like all the damn episodes at the Sundance? All right. Let's get to the action. I hope I could play this without getting in trouble on YouTube. Yo, Juvie's a personality, boy. For real. We're not done.
Yes, we're doing this. So, everybody, this is Toro, one of the best keyboard players in the world. Pianist. Funny word. I know everybody's wondering where the auto-tune is going to come from. It's okay. I got it in my pocket. It's totally fine. You got it right here. It's all surgically inserted. So I guess we're gonna get to this. You wanna? Let's get to it.
Oh shit. Is that old? It says, wow, hold on. This was 8 years ago. That's crazy. How long Tiny Desk been around? I did not know Tiny Desk was around that long. This was 8 years ago. But it got 25 million views, though.
Money in the bank. Oh, I'll be in the grave. We in the.
See, people forget, like, everybody talk that auto-tune stuff, but people really forget T-Pain can really sing. Okay? He can really sing. All right, I just had to say that, man.
It's like that, that's what I'm talking about. We gon' have fun, you gon' see. And I'm on that Patron, you should get like me. I'ma buy you a drink, I'ma take you home with me. Money in the bank, we in the bed like,
Hilarious.
Take it up a notch. Speed it up a little bit. I ain't even know it. Ain't know it. Till they call you to the stage. Then you seen the throw it, throwing that ass for days. Put it going up, down. I ain't got no problem spending all of my money trying to see what's up. I can do this all day like it ain't nothing. Black car, party in the backyard. Shawty got the black bra showing, tatted up, bad enough. She a bad and she already know it. Yes you know it, yeah, yes you know it. She a bad and she already know it. Yes you know it, yes you know it. She gon' make me spend some money on it. Oh, bank account, I'll blow it. Go do a show then, bring that dough in. Pockets bigger than a Samoan. Hey. I'm at the stage every time, started going. I'm like, yeah, started going, yeah, started going. Booty hit the floor then, slow motion. Oh, I'm so gone up Patron. I don't know how I'm getting home later on. Like, I ain't even know it, ain't know it. Tell the call you to the stage. Then you seen a nigga throw it, throwing that ass for days. The booty going up, down. Got no problem spending all of my money trying to see what's up. I can do this all day like it ain't nothing. Shout it thick, thicker than a snicker. Every time she do this for me and mine. And a friend do it with her. She don't even like girls, but a stack can make her kiss her. Gone kiss her, gone kiss her. But a stack can make her kiss her. Go on, kiss her. Go kiss her. She keep messing around, I'ma launch this missile. Oh, she make it drop, then jiggle. But on the show then, bring that dough in. Pockets bigger than a Samoan. I'm at the stage every time, so they go in. I'm like, yeah. Hit the float in, slow motion. Oh, I'm so gone up Patron. I don't know how I'm getting on later on. Like, I ain't even know it. You know it. Then they call you to the stage. Then you see the nigga throw it, throwing that ass for days. Put it going up.
From the top, from the top, from the top. Then it's up for the top, in the quarter to five. Before they finish up, and it's down in the top. And let me ride. Where that from? That's what them chords remind me of.
Like it ain't nothing,
I'm getting jacked. They drinking back down. They sit and it's up and it's falling up down. Rest in peace, Nate Dogg.
Like it ain't nothing, I can do this all day. Like it ain't nothing, little bit. A little bit. I got wrapped up in myself. Yeah, it's kind of hard to wrap around myself. Oh boy. So thank you. Yeah, let's go. Let's do it. Shawty's so perfect. I'm about a bar, got a drink and everything that I drank. A little talk, so far. She been thinking everything that I think. And we like the same girl, not the main girl. She been sipping on that black and blue label. You must ain't her. I do my thing, girl. I can't let you drink me under this table. She keep taking shots to the head, and I know that I can't keep up. One more drink and I'ma be dead. You gon' see me walk out of this club. Oh, she ain't even drunk yet. She ain't finished this cup yet. And everybody looking at me like I'ma stop ya. But I done found me a drinking partner. I think I need her to drink a drink with me. I found the girl of my dreams and I got ya. I done found me a drinking partner. Everybody wanna. She be sipping that Corona. We ain't turning up in the club without her. Oh, yeah. Oh, no. Tonight was so worth it. I done found somebody that like doing everything that I do. We hit the floor just like that. When I move, you move. It's like we the same person. We drinking even if we ain't thirsty. We screaming YOLO in the lane, swerving. And I'm about to give her that T-Pain service. Oh, I got a feeling she ain't going nowhere till she know that she leaving with me. We drink one more big shot for the night. Shawty, you ain't gonna get no sleep. Hey, we ain't even done yet. We ain't finished these cups yet. But everybody looking at me like I'ma stop ya. I done found me a drinking partner. I think I need her to drink a drink with me. I found the girl of my dreams and I got ya. I done found me a drinking partner. Everybody wanna. She be sipping that Corona. And we ain't turning up in the club without her. Ooh, here she comes right towards me. She's got something I just can't ignore. When all these other girls in here just bored me, I can't wait until I open up my door and I'll say, oh, here she comes. Oh, here she comes. Oh, here she comes. Oh, here she comes. When all these other girls in here just bored me, I can't wait. Oh, I can't wait. She's got me so deep in freaking love. When all these other girls in here ignored me, I can't wait until I walk inside this club and I'll say, oh, here she comes. Oh, here she comes. When all these other girls in here ignored me, I can't wait. Back here. Appreciate it. Thank you guys, man. So that was the extent of.
And we would just work on beats. He saw how like excited I was. My ideas come from above, a higher source. I will be alive for a short time, but this energy was here before me and it will be here after me.
In 1992, a young man from Beverly Hills had an idea. A junior high schooler obsessed with hip-hop, Alan Alchemist Mammon wasn't sure exactly how, but knew that he wanted to express himself through rap music. Though his first attempt to participate in the culture as a rapper fizzled in failure, the experience would put the 15-year-old on tour with Cypress Hill and under the wing of DJ Muggs. With Muggs' tutelage, Alchemist would switch vocations from MC to beatmaker, and in doing so, find his true calling. In the ensuing 25 years, Al would develop a uniquely menacing sound and assemble a catalog of classics. Today, he continues to release a steady stream of collaborative and instrumental albums through his own ALC Records and is universally acknowledged as one of hip-hop's most celebrated producers. And it all started with one idea.
When did you first develop your relationship with music? Like, we used to have like a piano in the house. I used to go over there and try to sound little things out. And I think my mom saw early on that I was into it. And so she tried to give me piano lessons. And you know piano lessons is not what's up. So I fought it, but I did it. So that was like the beginning of just like being creative, whatnot. And then we had like a little fake rap group when we were in elementary school called the Dope Poet Society. We like made hats with the iron-on letters like most young kids did. When I look back, you know, these white Jewish kids in Beverly Hills embracing, you know, it was the Beastie Boys. And I remember seeing them and just being like, wow. Or finding out one or two of them was Jewish or like white guys. What, they're on tour with Run DMC? They're accepted? Like that, all that shit worked on me as far as thinking, damn, maybe one day I could participate.
How did your parents' professional lives inform your own ambition?
My father was 7 brothers, 2 sisters from Israel. Grew up there, and he like was the only one out of his family that left and came to the States. He made his way out of nothing. So to me, that was always like a big motivating aspect.
Were your folks into music?
Yeah. My dad had his favorites. He liked ABBA, he liked Nat King Cole. He had like this really strange mix. And had a record collection, you know what I mean? From the 80s left over, and those were some of my first beats.
So when did you start really like wanting to participate in hip hop?
My first stages were rapping. Just straight jacking your favorite rapper's verse. I would memorize a rhyme, change a couple of words, put my name in it, and then I would just be at the mall in Century City, and the homies would be like, yo, wow, say that rhyme, and I would like say a rhyme, and be like, yo.
When did you make the transition to like, all right, let's write real songs?
It was always just a thing we did for fun. Then I connected with my man, Scott Kahn. We were all doing graffiti, we were all being bad kids, we were all making rap. Scott knew this kid, Evidence. His graffiti name was Vane, and he was already rapping and kind of doing his thing with Will, I Am.
Really?
Who was Will Lee 1X at the time. And where we all connected was this club called Ballistics. Every Thursday night on Sunset at the Whiskey. That's the first time I met DJ AM. He was rapping at the time. Me, Scott, Evidence, Seth, who was Shifty from Crazy Town, Will I Am, and there's like a handful of other guys. But we would all kind of link up at this party every Thursday. And at the end of the night, they would always do a freestyle session. And every night, like clockwork, Will would win. Like Will is so talented and was as a kid. Seeing him now, successful, makes more sense than anything. But at the time, him and Ev were real tight and they had a group. Evidence lived in Venice.
Yep.
On 6 and Rose, his neighbor was Quincy Jones III. Evidence was like, yo, I'm gonna bring you and Scott to meet Q. So he brought us to meet QD3. That was some of my first times watching music be made. And that's when Scott and I started, we created the Hooligans. And Q took a liking to us. It was like, man, you guys are really dope. We kind of built our demo together, out working with Q, like producing with me and Scott rapping. We ended up signing to Tommy Boy. We got a meeting with Buzztone Management, which was managing Cypress Hill, House of Pain. And that day we met B-Real, he was in the office. And then B-Real executive produced us.
So you're in 10th grade. Are you going to school at this point?
Yes, kind of going to school, but we went on tour. So in 1993, the Soul Assassin tour happened.
Yes.
Right, we had got signed. We didn't even have an album out yet, and we just got thrusted on this tour, this United States tour with Cypress was on top of the world. Soul Assassins was like huge. The only bigger thing out of LA was Dre and what they were doing, Snoop.
What were your parents saying when you're like, all right, so we got signed to a label and check this out, we have to go on tour for 3 months.
I think they were like impressed. Like I remember they didn't really think much till I showed them like a check for like 30 grand or something. And then I remember my dad was like, okay, making some money, all right, shit. Also, the label was like, oh, don't worry about it, the management. Don't worry, we have a tutor that's gonna go with them and he's gonna make sure everything is straight. So we're like, cool, cool. The day of the tour starts, we meet our tutor. The guy shows up, his name was Langston. He walks in the tour bus, he's like, man, listen, just keep me high this whole tour, man. Make sure I got some weed. You guys ain't gotta do no work. We were like, hell yeah. This dude rolled with us on tour, just had a straight vacation, just became one of our crew members. We opened on the tour. It was like such a learning experience, getting out there. And I was on tour with some real MCs, you know, Be Real, Everlast. Those are some of my first days. Also going to record stores with Lethal, DJ Lethal from House of Pain. We'd be in like St. Louis, he'd like take me to the record store and he'd just be like, yeah, box up the whole jazz and soul section. We don't got time. And he would just buy the whole sections and then he'd sit on his bus and I'd come in there and smoke with him. And he'll have the turntable on his bus, take it from sound check, you know, and he'll be like, yo, listen to this record, see how it just sounds good. Listen to this record, it just sounds like shit. Yo, listen right here, see the groove? That's where the breakdowns are. And listen, you can, okay. So like he was already schooling me on shit early.
Okay.
As far as like records, and I wasn't making beats yet. But I was just a sponge. Like after that, it was over. Like that tour kind of clinched it. Like, yeah, if I could figure out how to do this as a career, you best believe there's nothing that any school or anyone's gonna offer me that will throw me off. A lot of the records I sample, the moment might just happen for 5 seconds. It just might be a 2-bar moment or an intro or an outro. And that's what we make the beat out of. And it's like the diligence of listening to all these records and waiting for that moment gives you your scope. There it is. That's the shit right there. I'm staying with that part.
From that tour, things eventually sort of go off the rails for the group. What happened?
We dropped the single. We had a video. I guess they didn't like the results they had from the single, Tommy Boy, and they just shelved the album. We had a whole album. This is when I was, I would say, sophomore, you know, high school. I started getting into beats because when we got our budget, I bought an ASR 10. Lethal took me to Guitar Center. That's how I developed my style. And after the tour, B-Real moved to Venice and he had a studio in his garage, set up ASR 10, and I used to go there and make beats in the garage. And Muggs would come through and see me over there messing around and was like, yo, come to the crib with me, man. I'm working on Cypress 3 album. And then that's how I kind of went from hanging with B to like Muggs saying, come to my crib up in Nichols Canyon in Hollywood. And I would go to his house on the weekends. I would sleep on Muggs' couch and we would just work on beats. He saw how like excited I was to work. This is after the Hooligans. I'm in high school. And I was really good with the ASR 10, so that was like my job. And I had a good ear, so he would give me boxes of records. And, go through records. And I would find samples and like pull them up on the ASR and maybe chop something or maybe make like a halfway of a beat. He wouldn't let me do the drums. He didn't trust my drums back then. He was like, nah, because he was the man. And he's paying me cash. I'm living great. And I did a lot on that album. When it came out, I didn't really have a credit on it. I didn't mind because I knew it wasn't my position. I didn't have a name yet. And Muggs was paying me well, keeping me in the mix. And it was a great opportunity. And it all paid off because how you think I met Mobb Deep? Through Muggs.
Success to me is to be profitable and do good through something that I love to do. I think success is really defined by the person. I envy a person who doesn't care, who is just like enjoying every day, but just because the sun's out.
Are you still going to high school at this point?
I am going to high school.
And you're fully committed to like, music is my future.
I didn't really know still.
Oh, really?
I wanted it to be, but it was like something had already happened. I'd already gotten a deal. I've been on tour. I've done some stuff. I'm like, I'm not letting go of this dream. You already know I was hell-bent on it, but now thinking back, it wasn't for sure.
By the time he graduated high school, Alchemist had already failed once, but more importantly, he had discovered his true talent. A move to New York to attend NYU would endanger his professional momentum, but Al had made crucial connections, specifically meeting Mobb Deep, that would set up his second act.
I did 2 years at NYU. I was doing that little bit of producing for the High and Mighty or the Far Right, Dilated. I was set up in the dorm originally, and we would just be making beats, trying to figure out a sound.
So how did you transition from that to starting to shop beats to artists that were signed to labels?
At the time, my parents were giving me, I think, like $1,000 a month to survive, to live. Like, here, we're gonna help you out. And I think at the time I was selling the weed with my roommates, I worked long enough to save 10 months worth of those checks, save like 10 G. I never would spend the check they were giving me. I didn't tell them 2 years later. It was like, once I had like 10 grand in a bank account, I remember like calling my parents going, yeah, I'm good from here. I'm gonna try. And just, I always wanted to push off. Like, I always wanted to feel my own weight. Like, man, it's a blessing in the world to have family that can help and be financially, that's the greatest thing in the world. But then it also made me wanna feel what it would be like on my own. I used to sit with the advisor who looked at my GPA and was like, all right, you gotta pick a major now. I was like, I don't really know what I wanna pick, but I'm doing a lot of music. It's been fairly decent. I have a history before that I did. I showed her everything. I told her what was up. She was like, you know what? If you want to give it a shot and you think you could make it work, try. And you can always come back after a semester if it's not working. And I was like, cool. And I was like, can you tell my mom and dad that too? You want to put them flame? I called them. Yeah, and even the advisor said, they were like, I don't know, you're going to stay in New York? I was like, yeah. And then after 2 years, I pushed off and didn't go back to school. And I stayed in New York, got an apartment, and I just was like, I'm gonna make it work. The first thing I did was I got a Cypress remix that Muggs hooked up, Tequila Sunrise.
From the 4th album?
Yes, and it had Fat Joe on it. Those years, I was going on tour with Cypress every summer, 97, 98, 99, and I would roll with Muggs and kind of be his assistant, carry records, whatever they needed me to do, I was there. It was just like, I'm there.
How were you imagining your career sort of playing out over the next few years?
I didn't really know where it was gonna go. I just wanted to be a threat. Like, I was now honing my production craft. And I'm not like some of these guys who are like, your first beats are the beats people have heard. I had a lot of time to develop my style. There was eras of me making beats that nobody heard except for probably Evidence, where it was like I was just imitating Premier. I didn't have my sound yet, And it took me a long time to develop what I felt was gonna be like something unique, which was basically my expression as a producer. We're working with electronics. We're not robots. There's an immediate fight right there. Some people give in to the fight and just go, let's go, quantize, and just turn into a rap robot. You need to have something that's locked in, all right, but then be free with it and humanize your shit and give it like some type of personality that makes it unique.
Which beats were the ones where you felt like, okay, I have a voice?
I think Keep It Thorough. Once I started working with Mobb Deep, that pretty much changed everything. Like, I could pretty much put my career on a timeline of before Mobb Deep, after Mobb Deep. Mobb Deep was a legendary group who I idolized before I even knew them. Muggs had worked with them on his album and told me, yo, when I worked with them, I met their young guys. They got these guys down with them, Infamous Mob. It's like they're young guys. You're my young homie. You guys should hook up in New York. So we linked up. And then that led to Infamous Mob saying, yo, come to the studio. We got to introduce you to Having P. They had just started Murder Music, the album.
Yeah.
So I know where they're at now, the studio. I'm down with Infamous Mob. All right, cool. Now I would like always come there. P would not be there. Havoc would be there. And then Hav would be there and they'd be like, play me some shit. And I had this one dat, played him a bunch of beats. And then he would be like, I like this one beat. So I would come back 2 days later or 3 days later, and then P would be there. And then I would play that same dat for P, and he'd be like, skim through, I like this one beat. It was the same beat that Hav liked. It was the realest. You know, a month or so later was when P called me and said, yo, bring that beat through, son. Walk in the room, and then G-Rap is just sitting there. You know, and I was just like, whoa. You know, it's like, of course, we grew up off of Cool G-Rap. And P was like, yo, you know that beat? We want to use that shit for G-Rap. Now, in retrospect, I think, like, if I had a manager at the time and was like, cool, wait a minute, and it was like, let me call my manager, and that shit might not have happened. I was so excited that I just told the engineer, like, where's the engineer at? Like, plug me up. And
So
I
there's
just
no
tracked
conversation
the
about
fucking
money
beat,
or anything?
nothing. This was the greatest opportunity. He just told me, put the beat up for us with Cool G-Rap. I was like, crazy, track the beat instantly. That's how that relationship started with Mobb Deep. And then that's why I feel like Keep It Thorough was a big record, because it proved I wasn't a fluke.
I do doubt myself, and it sucks, but sometimes you gotta check yourself, and that can be confused as doubt. Checking yourself is good. Don't doubt yourself.
So once you get the Mob and then the Prodigy records out, your name starts to really ring off in terms, you know, in a larger way in hip hop. What was the process like of trying to sell beats back in 99, 2000, 2001?
You had to be physically out there. Like, there was no email. You know, staying home and making beats was like the one part of it, but straight up running up in the studio, making my own phone calls. I didn't have a manager at the time, and it was like, so I would make relationships. As a producer, the ones I looked up to coming up, they all produced whole albums first. I think I was one of those guys, came in that next generation of producers who was kind of like a nomad.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, I need to be on as many albums as possible, and I need a name tag, Alchemist. Like, that was all intentional. You know, it was like, I want to be known. I want people to know I made this beat. As producers, we were like salesmen. I got a new batch. All right, cool. I got to hit up everybody this week because I'm trying to start a bidding war, because it was all about who's cutting that first half and when. Like, you want the beat? Cut the first half, because I'm about to go to see Puff. Puff likes that joint. He's working on whatever. All the producers, we stayed on our toes because of this, because we were able to hear what everybody else was doing, to hear your competition, to see what, you know, Rockwilder's doing. Like, he used to kick my ass every time I'd see him, and he'd play some beats, and like, he's here? Like, we'd walk in and be like, nah, I'm gonna come back another day, man. This ain't fair, you know, he's too good. We really respect each other. I remember some rough nights trying to play beats and just not hitting. Or they would just send you home and, you know, just make you work harder.
As an artist, it's always hard to take criticism. It's like a nasty pill to swallow. It's bitter. It's like, fuck you, man, what? It's cool to feel that way at first, but I think criticism is important as long as it's people that you can trust, that it's a non-biased, genuine opinion.
How were you negotiating things like your rate? I imagine it's changing as you're getting more and more placements.
In the early days, it was all about an advance. That's all I cared about.
Getting the front half.
Again, it was just getting your, I didn't even know about publishing or any of that shit, honestly. And I think that's a blessing, because had I known about all that shit early, probably wouldn't have did so many beats that ended up becoming great beats. Because I might have been like, wait a minute, what's my split on the publishing? How much are they taking on the sample? Oh, hell no. You know what I mean? My innocence and just wanting to be dope and be on these albums, yeah, it hurt my pockets a little bit probably, but I wouldn't take it back for a million years because I have my discography. I got to a certain point where it was like, okay, what's my future? What am I gonna do now? Now I'm here. Okay, people know me, did some cool beats. And that's when I went back to my old thought of, damn, all the people I looked up to made whole albums. I gotta make an album. And that's when it was my goal, when I did First Infantry.
How did that change when you went from being a behind the scenes person to then being the front facing?
It wasn't a plan in that aspect. It was a goal to produce an album in its entirety. And I didn't have anyone else who was like, yo, we want you to do this whole album. I was like, well, fuck it, I'll produce my own album. As a producer, it's always been a tricky thing. Like, how do you sell a producer as an artist? But over the years, like, I would always write every now and then. Like, I always think of raps when I'm making a beat. Like, it's the same way I'm imagining a bass line or a drum.
Same
I'm imagining rap always, you know? Like, Hold You Down was a loose record we made at the crib.
I always
I wasn't making it for my album, but then when it was time to work on the album, I had that. And there was like, this is catchy and it's me and all right, fuck it, I'll rap on it. Or I was already on it, I'm saying, we'll make it a single, because then for Koch, it was like an opportunity to promote me as an artist. It would normally be harder if you're a producer on an album, you know, otherwise, like, what are you gonna do? Stand behind a rapper and be like, yo, this is my shit. This is just me rapping, and it was kind of awkward because some people thought I was a rapper at first. But it took, and it worked. And Prodigy was on the first verse. He was as hot as fish grease at the time. The sky was just blowing up.
Was the market informing your artistic decisions at all?
I never felt pressure from the music industry to make something that was relevant. It was a great time because the people I was down with, the Locks, Mobb Deep, these are the biggest guys in New York. You know, Mobb always had commercial success being hardcore. That's how we pulled off Got It Twisted. We go to the meeting at Jive, and Pete picked me up and said, come with me to the meeting, man. And I felt kind of weird about it. I'm like, it's y'all album. Should I really come with you? He's like, yeah, man, we're gonna listen to the whole album with the owners of Jive. We're gonna pick the singles. So we get to the meeting, Barry Weiss, Chris Lighty, all of us, we all sit down in this room. Chris Lighty goes, all right, hold on, before we start, I wanna bring in Who Kid. Who Kid is the ear of the streets, and I really respect his opinion, so we wanna hear what he has to say. At first, I was like, what the fuck is going on? Why is Who Kid in here? You know what I mean? What's going on here? So, cool. Play the whole album, every song. Have the most of them, boom, listen to everything. All right, singles, let's go back. They went straight to the Kanye joint and my joint. Straight to it. Let's just reevaluate those. We played the Kanye West joint. Barry Weiss going crazy bangers. And he said, my son loves Kanye West. Then we played Got It Twisted again, right? Everyone's listening to it. And then Who Kid stepped out of nowhere and was like, are you guys serious? This is a no-brainer. Are we really deciding? He said, one sounds like Saturday afternoon. The other one sounds like you're getting stabbed in a club. This is Mobb Deep. And everybody, and that was it. And I swear after that, I hugged that motherfucker. I was like, yeah, you're the best, man. Like, I was like, he was just being genuine.
You mentioned We Gonna Make It, and I know that was somewhat controversial record when it came out. What happened?
We Gonna Make It, the way that happened was this dude, Ray, I think, I forget, he worked at Priority. They bought a bunch of beats off of me, like a 3-package deal, and I tracked a bunch of beats, never heard back from them. And so later on, when that type of thing would happen back then, I was like, yeah, I'm using that beat for something else. And people don't even know, I tracked that beat for Nas. After that, when Nas was doing the 41st album, he picked that beat and I tracked it to a 2-inch tape for him. It was gonna be his solo song. And then he left town, came back and they're like, nah, he didn't do it. Nashawn is gonna use it or something. And I was like, I took it back. I also played We Gonna Make It for Jay-Z in person.
That could have been a Nas record, and it could have been a Jay-Z.
Could have been a Nas record, could have been a J record. Very close, yes.
So Kiss gets the beat, makes the song, and then were you completely surprised when Razzcazz comes out of the woodwork?
I don't remember how it went. It was kind of like, oh man, you know, kind of a letdown on how it all unfolded. But Kiss record was so big, and when you look back in history, it was meant to be. Yeah, I'll never forget the day that Kiss played the verse. I was over there, I went up to Yonkers. And the first line, it was already like, holy shit.
So in 2007, you did what would become the first of a series of collaborative albums that you've continued to do to this day. How did you end up deciding you and Prodigy were going to work on The Return of the Mac together?
He used to damn near live with me at that time. Like, he would come through every day, stay late, and leave powdered white donut wrappers everywhere, and just like leave a mess and write rhymes, and we would watch YouTube stuff for hours. He used to record stuff off of YouTube with his VHS camera, because he's like, some of this info is gonna go away. Like, P was insane. We did a couple songs, and it started going good, and that was the first time that I noticed P trusted me all the way. Like, being able to do that whole project and have P meant a lot to me at the time. It was just gonna be a mixtape. And then it was just like, we gotta put this out for real. I wasn't on my A game yet as far as putting together albums the way I think I am now.
Did it change how you thought about production or making music?
Yeah, there's sections of a song, right? And you put in your magnifying glass and you make each section special, right? An album is a big song, and there's moments everywhere throughout that album, just like there's moments in a song. I started looking at it like that. Like, all right, if I could keep a song interesting, then I gotta be able to keep an album interesting and treat it like one big fucking song. Producing is kind of like psychology, more than technology. It's like a lot of it is like knowing how to communicate with an artist in order to get the best version of them out of them. You know, you're not gonna draw blood from a rock. You can't come in there and force somebody to do something. That's never been my technique. I want them to stay in their confident bag. I don't want them to start losing their confidence. I may be like, yo, listen to this last take we did a couple of takes ago. See that part? I love that part. Man, see the tone you had there? That's what we're trying to get.
Around that time also, the whole music industry starts to change.
Yeah.
How were you thinking about that as this is very beginning of streaming? And
I was like skeptical about it all. The music industry kind of burnt me out after like my run of doing Hold You Down, and then having success as an artist, and then coming back years later with my follow-up album and trying to do it bigger and making all these fucking mistakes that I'm like, damn, I wish I could have done it differently, you know?
What do you mean?
Like, I think every artist has their version of this if they make it through the storm. First album came out, had success, didn't expect it. Then I arrived. Mob is on top, I'm here, I'm an artist now. Like, I'm fine. So many things happening, and I took 2-3 years. You know what I mean? And it was way too long. And at that point, the sound was starting to change and things were getting bigger. And I tried to compete, thinking of my first album, like, I gotta go up. All right, so now I gotta get Twista and Maxwell on this joint, and I'm gonna rhyme on it. At one point, you know, Jim was hot and I was on Koch Jones, and they got me a Jim Jones verse for like some crazy amount of money, and I was convinced that this was gonna be the answer to my career, and I made 4 versions of the Jim Jones version. I got Nina Sky back on it. I did so much. I ended up not using the song at all. And when I listened back to that album or that moment in my career, I hate it.
Efforts to top his solo debut fell flat, but the creative frustration of that moment would provoke an important move. Back home in LA, Alchemist established a studio and an open door policy. Al's workspace would become a hub for a generation of talent, including Action Bronson, Currency, Vince Staples, and many others. But in addition to finding inspiration musically, Al would also find inspiration as an entrepreneur, prompting him to radically reinvent his business model.
That was the old studio.
Oh shit, okay.
That was the whole first era.
Really? Okay.
It was over there. Yep.
Like rare chandeliers and all that kind of stuff?
All that. Cobra Coupe, rare chandeliers. That's kind of where all the shit started. That's when we first started like what we were calling Rap Camp. And then boom, we're over here.
And you guys are over here?
Over here now. We basically built it up, me and Neil. Neil kind of came up with the design, my brother.
Okay.
And it was like empty at first. It was just like a big blank canvas, and then we kind of...
You came back to LA, what, in like 2005, 2006?
Yeah.
How integral was getting this studio and creating the Rap Camp environment to you getting into that next phase?
Very important. It was just a great mix of people coming over, and I think it was Chuck English. I give him a lot of credit. I forget what year it was, the end of the year. New Year's, we had a party over there at the studio, and then we just had a barbecue. Action was there, and he was like cooking, and we just kept the barbecue going for a whole week. no rules. There was no A&R. There was no managers really. There was no agenda. It was free. And it was like, but we knew everybody was competitive and wanted to create. Those were the early stages of where I'm at now. And rap camp started kind of developing. And to me, that's like the whole phase 2 of my career of like, you know, from what I built to, all right, where do I go from here? Really, the pivotal one was Covert Coup. My friend Brock was connected with Currency, brought him over. He came over to do a song, and we did 2 that day. And he wanted to drop them that night. And that blew my mind. Like, what do you mean we just recorded it? And he was like, nah, that's how I do it. I have a fan base, I feed them. And I was like, well, we just did these songs tonight. We want to drop them today. Can we mix them first? He was like, all right, well, if we're not dropping these tonight, I need you to loop up this Rick Ross beat for me so I could do a freestyle. Or it was like some beat. And I was like, deal. I looped up some instrumental. He laid a freestyle, recorded it. He posted it up immediately after we recorded it. And he was like, all right, cool. Back away. And I'm like, damn, like he really had the pressure to drop something tonight. He was like, this is insane. I didn't get it yet. Then we did 2 songs. The next morning, he was like, these songs are too good. Let's keep working. I'm gonna stay in LA. Fast forward, we made a whole album. There was some complications why we couldn't put it out through the label he was talking to at the time. And then Currency called me and was like, yo, I just want to put it out. I'll put it out. I'm just gonna put it out for free. I'm like, for free? Like, I've never done anything like that before in my life. Like, at this point, I'm already successful making music. This is my career. And he was like, man, listen, I'll pay you. I was like, I'm not gonna take money from you. He said, well, look, doing this collab with Diamond, capsule, we can make it a Covert Coup capsule, and I'll give you the bread. And I just took a risk. I was like, fuck it, put the album out free and just sell the clothes? All right, whatever. And it worked. Boy, did it work. So the day was going by of the release and it was just selling like crazy. Towards the end of the day, they were monitoring the sales and they were like, all right, these shirts are slowing down, we're gonna cut them off. So some people show up and they still don't get it. It's how we maintain our brand. There's a technique to all this shit. Those were the early days of me seeing that. So Covert Coup changed everything in my mind because I never thought like that in the past. I pretty much make the bulk of my shit like super early. I have a lot of different projects I'm always working on, so I might come in and finish a mix. I might come in and get to a batch of records that I've been meaning to listen to. I might finish up the beat from the night before. Sometimes I might be in here for 17 fucking hours, literally, in one chair, working. And I'm like, nobody could ever pay me to do that. That was that pivotal moment in my career where it was like, all right, am I gonna be known as the guy that did Mobb Deep and Dilated, or at least I started meeting this new generation of kids who grew up off that shit. Action, Mac Miller, Schoolboy Q, Earl, Damo Genesis, Danny Brown. And it was like this new batch of artists who were coming up, and I realized, damn, this is dope because they know me for what I did. So I can just be me. I don't have to chase any sound or trend, but now here's my chance. Like the Burning Bush, like, all right, what do I do here? Do I just like, oh, rap changing, or do I embrace them and be like, yo, let's go, let's make history? And that was like, that changed everything for me. You know, 2010 or whatever, around that time was all those guys that really helped give me another lease on rap as a producer. Now I'm seeing the guys who, like me, never heard Mobb Deep in their life. You know, I just know you from Schoolboy Q. Yeah, it's a blessing. The last 10 years for me has been like the most fun, and it feels like laying out some breadcrumbs, and I can't wait to see what's gonna come from this.
So there's like these unforeseen elements that you're not gonna be able to prepare for, and you will not know when it happens. Do you need to do those 10,000 hours? Of course, because those hours you put in will prepare you for that unforeseen moment when you get out of the studio and you're in the world and you're, you know, exchanging energy with other people. And there's gonna be somewhere you're at or some person, and then that moment's gonna happen where you're gonna get that break.
People like you to do you. Like if I'm gonna try to make something for someone else, like someone, no one will even like me. And it was really cool once I got to that point in my career where it was like, damn, I could do what I do. And I think that's how me and Freddie worked good. Because when he came to me, he really made me feel like man, he really is genuinely a fan like I am of him.
At what point would you say that like the current paradigm that you're in now really like came into focus for you?
Between 3 to 5 years ago. You know, I give a lot of credit to Knowledge. You're one of my favorite producers and one of my best friends. He would play me shit all the time. And like, he had his Bandcamp page. I didn't really understand Bandcamp. You know, here I am, an old school guy still stuck in whatever the ways are that I know. Oh, it's Bandcamp. It was like, oh, it's like an iTunes, my own. I'm like, huh? And he'd like pull up his Bandcamp page and it'd just be like 50 artworks.
You got 100 albums
like,
on
what
there.
are all these? He's like, different projects. You click on one, 3 beats, for, you know, $7.99. Another one was 15 remixes for $12.99. Another one was 1 beat. It was all these different things. I'm like, who did all this art? He's like, me. I was like jealous. Like, oh, this is fresh. You know, I want one of these. And he kind of pushed me over to like finally doing it, to where I finally did it one day. I made a Bandcamp page and I put out a project called French Blends. And it was just instrumentals, digital only. And I sold it for like 20 bucks or whatever it was. And the next day it was going straight to the PayPal. And I can't explain to you how it felt. This far in my career, all the money I made, all the shit I've done, this felt
like you got
different.
control.
This was like, whoa.
You feel like you had
this
control.
Is a main line. Like
Yes,
all the
sir.
years of slow dripping and going
Yes,
through so many
sir.
fucking different people. This is where it's at. This is
Yeah. I'm gonna have some shit come to the Bandcamp this summer. For sure. For sure. How do I get to my artist shit? View site. Boom, yeah, there we go. Gotta push it more, I guess. There we go. I need more projects on here.
is it. Wow. This is the business of music that I could have probably figured out, you know, what's behind door number 3 this whole time, but they'll scare you into thinking that you can't do that shit. And once I did that and realized, holy shit, I can control my career for real now. I had watched a thing years back from Trent Reznor, a case study by Trent Reznor on YouTube, and it changed my life. And basically they came up with a formula. RTB plus CWF equals success. And it was like connect with fans plus reason to buy. Our fan base is small, but they love what we do. So I immediately saw, I gotta sell shit more expensive, smaller amounts, limited. From that day forward, I started pressing my own stuff, choosing my quality, making my price points, creating a brand. For so long, I always wanted to have a reputation as Alchemist, the producer. And I'm like, all right, my beats will let you know who Alchemist is. Then I started looking at Stone's Throw and Wolf and other people like,
yes,
wow,
both
their label
tracks.
is like My Alchemist, the name. Like they put music out through their label and their label has a taste. If I do a label, it can have a taste also.
To answer your questions, D, both.
So long, I always wanted to have a reputation as Alchemist, the producer. And I'm like, all right, my beats will let you know who Alchemist is. Then I started looking at Stone's Throw and Wolf and other people like, wow, their label is like My Alchemist, the name. Like they put music out through their label and their label has a taste. If I do a label, it can have a taste also. And I started really creating products that I love, that I think are fresh, limiting them through trial and error. Every time I made a mistake, and I loved it. I loved the mistakes because I was learning from them, and it was like, okay. And it took a year or two, and after 2 years of steady releases, with ALC, with vinyl, then started doing limited cassette CD, limited merch, really putting care into the shit, like not worrying about the whole fucking rap game, like whatever. I'm not in it anymore. This is a world I got. Thank God it exists. I feel like we developed this market, which is insane now. I mean, the type of money that's being made off of merch and vinyl is nuts. I don't think anyone saw it coming. There's more than one way to skin a cat, you know, and there are so many income streams now that once you figure it out, this is the best time ever. And I've been feeling so good about it. That's how last year I was able to do the Boldy James and the Freddie Gibbs and like these albums that are now like, man, being able to create catalog under my own label, that's a dream.
What are the goals for the next few years?
My goal is to not give a shit about anybody who thinks I'm doing too much. I'm actually gonna do more. You know, fuck the music industry. And just be honest, like it's a headache, it's a fucking disgusting industry. And I don't feel like I'm in it anymore. So when I make beats and I produce on someone's album, yeah, I'm in the industry, there's no way around it, okay? Gotta get the lawyers, do the things, everything. But for the most part, I'm running a microbrewery now, you know? I'm banging shit out, doing shit at my rate, tapped into a fan base that I'm directly connected through the places that I sell it, and just totally in touch with the people, and it's a perfectly working ecosystem. So in that aspect, it's like I bailed out of the industry, and it feels great.
What have I learned from my biggest mistake?
That's crazy. Videos be starting from places I don't even play it from. All right. It's been 2 hours. Back to work. My name is Kerry Crucial Brothers.
And the Grammy goes to?
You probably know me as Crucial Keys.
Crucial right here, the other half of Crucial Keys, is an incredible musician and producer.
I'm a 2-time Grammy Award-winning, platinum and diamond-selling music producer, songwriter, and probably one of the best-kept secrets. I've been doing music for over 35 years. I've collaborated with the likes of Nas, Rakim, Keisha Cole, Isaac Hayes, Tony, and many more. I've worked on several movie scores and soundtracks, but I'm mostly known as Alicia Keys' music partner and executive producer for her first 4 studio albums and 1 unplugged, all with no formal music training. For the first time ever, I'm gonna let you in on my secrets. We're gonna be discussing music production, songwriting, and the mindsets it takes to bring the best out of you and your creativity. I'll share my insights on nurturing and creating synergy between artists, producers, and songwriters. I'll guide you through the art of songwriting, breaking down some of the essentials on memorable melodies, essential lyrics, and creating an emotional response from your listeners. I'll also go behind the scenes Kerry Crucial Brothers.
And the Grammy goes to?
You probably know me as Crucial Keys.
Crucial right here, the other half of Crucial Keys, is an incredible musician and producer.
I'm a 2-time Grammy Award-winning, platinum and diamond selling music producer, songwriter, and probably one of the best kept secrets. I've been doing music for over 35 years. I've collaborated with the likes of Nas, Rakim, Keisha Cole, Isaac Hayes, Tony, and many more. I've worked on several movie scores and soundtracks, but I'm mostly known as Alicia Keys' music partner and executive producer for her first 4 studio albums and 1 unplugged, all with no formal music training. For the first time ever, I'm gonna let you in on my secrets. We're gonna be discussing music production, songwriting, and the mindsets it takes to bring the best out of you and your creativity. I'll share my insights on nurturing and creating synergy between artists, producers, and songwriters. I'll guide you through the art of songwriting, breaking down some of the essentials on memorable melodies, essential lyrics, and create an emotional response from your listeners. I'll also go behind the scenes and tell never before told stories, inspiration, and technical nuances behind some of the most acclaimed tracks I've been involved with. So whether you're just starting out or already deep in the music industry, there's something in this masterclass for everyone. Let's make some timeless music.
Message. Sending this one out. I'm saying, no doubt indeed, without weed. I'm saying.
And so he ain't gonna be no fighter. He's gonna use his brain.
Why not? Why wouldn't you let him be a fighter?
For what?
Well, I mean, you're a fighter. I mean, why?
I had to be a fighter.
Okay. So yeah, that's the thing. It's available now and all that good stuff. Peace out. Good night. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday night / Sunday morning. Peace.
Sending this one out. I'm saying, no doubt indeed, without weed. I'm saying.
And so he ain't gonna be no fighter. He's gonna use his brain.
Why not? Why wouldn't you let him be a fighter?
For what?
Well, I mean, you're a fighter. I mean, why?
I had to be a fighter.
Can't anybody see?
That old real shit.
You've gotta walk or fight. Never find a way, regardless of what they say. How can it feel this long?
There's a war going on outside. No
From this moment, how can it feel this wrong? Storm in the morning, feel no more can say.
Extra, it's Mr. Headlines, who signed every contract and missed the deadlines. 40 days, 40 nights, trying to live up to the hype. It's the road less traveled, it's the one with Mr. Flights. All hit me up like, what you scared of heights? Know your sister tired of working, gotta do her something nice. I'm like, don't you know I stay up for foul and late nights? She need bread, she need rice, she need bread, she need ice. Either tell it to my bank account or say it to the dice. When I lay down in my bed, it's like my head in the vice. When I look inside the mirror, all I see is flaws. When I look inside the mirror, all I see is walls. And 3 hours a night, trying
Tuesday are you talking about? Oh, Isaac Hayes. We work with Isaac Hayes. We definitely work with Isaac Hayes. He appreciated our music. The song "Rock with You." He scored the strings on "Rock with You." Yeah, yeah. Check out the masterclass. I speak about that on the masterclass too. But Curtis Mayfield, rest in peace to both of them. Wow. Oh yeah. I mean, what would they say now? The same thing they would say before. Because unfortunately, it's the same shit happening. Like things go in cycles. They don't really go forward. They go in cycles. So they would say exactly what they saying now. And just the obstacles or the distractions are a little different and more advanced. Because now you got AI, social media, corporations taking over so much and has so much power and manipulating people. So they would have the same message, but the obstacles or the thing to rebel against has just added a couple of more than your usual. Yeah, there's a lack of disrespect. There's a lack of respect because there's a lack of information. There's no champion the stories, and that's our fault too. Like hip hop made me want to do music. Hip hop was the foundation of all what I was into, and I'm in my 50s. My oldest kids, late 20s, early 30s. My babies, 10 and 12. And there's still some songs and artists that I assume they should know. But if I don't sit there and explain it to them, why they mean so much to me, how would they know? Like if I'm looking for society and the market and the media to do it, I'm lost because the media just wants to push what they have control of now. You know what I mean? But that's what I'm saying. It's like I give you an example, right? I have my grandfather, right? He was a big jazz guy. And when hip hop was coming out in the beginning stages of the hip hop, he would tell me and my uncle, who was only 6 months older than me, oh, this is idiot music. This is whatever. Like, he had no respect for it. And he kept saying, you got to listen to this music. This is real music, blah, blah, blah. But for the fact that he didn't respect my feelings and my taste, I didn't want to hear the jazz he was playing me. So now I got a distaste for jazz, and I'm not even giving it a chance. It's the way it was presented to me that turned me off. You know what I mean? Now in my adult life, and I learned about jazz from some documentaries, it made me appreciate it. Because jazz is the original hip hop. The way they did it, the improvising, the going off the flow. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was presented to me wrong. And I feel like that's what happened with hip hop. You got all the older hip hop heads presenting it to the young ones wrong. It's like, oh, this ain't y'all dumb. This is whack. This is garbage. This is the real. This is the real. You're gonna get resistance. You know what I mean? So that's That's why there's a disrespect, because it's presented wrong. But it's gotten better. Don't get it twisted. It has gotten better. Like, we starting to realize, like, oh, hold on. Wait a minute. We talking to them wrong. You know, you got the Busters. You got the, older producers. You got the Nas with Hit Boy. Like, it's gotten better. You know? And then some people just disrespectful in general. They just disrespectful. Somebody brought up a point. It's like, when you got so many youths, especially young males, that grow up with no father, and somebody try to tell them something, they hate it. Because they like, man, but they don't hate that dude. They just hate that thing. Like, man, I never had a father figure, and this person try to come out of nowhere and act like a father figure. It's resistance. Unless they ask. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, like, my point is, I understand. The key is communication, period. There's a lack of communication. That's all it is. And good communication. Learning how to communicate well. Don't talk at them, talk to them. Don't just dump what you feel. Listen to what they feel. Absorb what they feel. Put yourself in that spot. Because when you were young, the elders called you dumb and said your music was stupid. And you didn't like that. So it's the same thing. It's like, remember where you were. And it's gotten better. I had a brief moment of making that mistake in my early to mid 30s. And I caught myself. I said, oh, wait a minute. I'm sounding like my father. I'm sounding like my grandfather. What's happening? You know what I mean? So, yeah, everybody's extra sensitive these days. People don't want to take constructive criticism. Everybody's too damn sensitive. And as an artist and a creative, you're sensitive anyway, and that's normal. Erykah Badu said it best, right? Keep in mind, I'm sensitive about my shit. Keep in mind, I'm an artist and I'm sensitive about my shit. That's facts. And you know the difference when somebody really trying to help you and somebody trying to tear you down, if you really listen to what the criticism is. Yeah, yes, people won't help you elevate it. They won't help you move up. You never want yes people. And then it's also knowing where the person is coming from that's giving you the advice. Because if it's a person that's never supported your shit, never bought your shit, never came to see you, never whatever, what's the point of their advice? Well, if it's coming from somebody who was a fan of you, who supported what you do, you might want to listen to them a little bit. All depends on what stage you're at, because you might be at a stage where you express your creativity in one form, and then years went by and you changed. And that person who's a fan of the old you definitely is not going to like the music that you made when you changed. But if you feel like you elevated your life and they want to put you back this way, you got to take their criticism with a grain of salt too. You know what I mean? So, bottom line is, you got to do what makes you happy at that moment. And whoever gets it, and you can serve them. And who don't get it, don't get it. But you should never try to do things to fit someone's taste or someone else's opinion or or the marketplace or what everyone's doing. Because then you're lost and you're not respected. When it's real and it's coming from you, nobody can deny that. They can feel it like, yo, this might not be my type of shit, but I feel this motherfucker. Like, I can respect that. And that's all you want. Because in the meanwhile, it might take them years later to catch on. You know, there's so many people who are ahead of their time. You're like, what the hell they doing? And then you listen to it 5 years later, you're like, oh my God, this was phenomenal. I wasn't ready. He wasn't ready. You know what I mean? Just like I said, my grandfather was trying to tell me about John Coltrane and jazz and whatever. I wasn't trying to hear none of that stuff because what he presented to me. And then later on, when I was, man, I love this stuff. It's like, yo. You know what I mean? But I wasn't ready for it. When I was ready for it, I appreciated it. It's like, oh, shit. I see what happened here. You know what I'm saying? And I see the similarities. Even with country music. You brought up country music earlier, D. Even with country music, I see the similarities with hip-hop. I see it. You know? The whole struggle, the poverty, the gospel, the Christian influence, and then the fake stories. You know what I mean? Like, there was a big country artist who came from New York, but he had to, like, deny that he was from New York, say he was from somewhere else and dress the part because people wouldn't accept a country artist coming from New York. It's like how these rappers front, like they from the hood. You know what I mean? It's the same. You see the similarities, you know what I mean? Yeah, we did create it. Country music is black, blues, and poor whites, immigrants. You know what I mean? They came with the fiddle, and we had the fiddle, and we had the banjo, and the you know what I mean? And it came together. And they sing about Christ. You know what I'm saying? And they go on a weekend, they get drunk, and their wife done ran out on them. You know what I mean? But they had their little twang to it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I used to play documentaries, D. I used to play documentaries on my Twitch. And we went through the blues, we went through jazz, and I wanted to go to country, but I kind of stopped the documentaries because less people were showing up. But during the pandemic, every Tuesday was like movie night. For real. I need to bring that back. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You're doing your research. I see you. That's what's up. What up, Yaya? What up, Chris? Yeah, man. You gotta love it. I love it all, man. History, inspiration. You know what I mean? We all want to be inspired. Because whether we know it or not, we're all creatives. We're all creatives. We're here to make some shit. You know what I'm saying? We ain't here just to watch and mindlessly argue with fake shit, argue about fake shit. You know what I mean? We are all creatives. Just gotta find your lane, enjoy it, and figure out a way to use it so you can take care of yourself with your creations. Flint, Michigan. That's what it is. I feel you, D. Flint, Michigan in the building. Yeah, you should you should join the Twitch when you get a chance. That's in the bio too. Join my Twitch. I'll be showing documentaries. Like even today I was showing some videos and stuff. DC now? That's what's up. DMV. Yeah, I want to play this DJ Premier interview. I like this YouTube channel, Idea Generation. They pretty dope. Can't wait till I get on that. Well, I can't wait. Give me another year. I want to be on their channel talking about the new shit I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? It's time. People don't get the DMV. Nah, there's a lot of people who do. They do. All right, I want to play this DJ Premier joint. If you want to see it, come to Twitch, D. I was going to sign off, but I'm going to watch it anyway, so I might as well share it with y'all, whoever's hanging out. Appreciate y'all.
How y'all feel out there?
I know I don't be announcing shit on the pop-ups, but I know the emails and alerts do their thing. DC, Maryland, Virginia. That's what the DMV is. You better recognize it ain't motor vehicles. Yeah. All right. Let's do this.
Once he showed me the fundamentals of it, I knew what I wanted to make it sound like when I do it. I'm from the era where if you copied somebody, you could get into a fight for being a biter.
Oh yeah, no biters allowed, son.
In 1984, a vinyl-obsessed 18-year-old in Prairie View, Texas, had an idea. Chris Martin, soon to be known to the world as DJ Premier, combined an encyclopedic knowledge of classic soul with a voracious appetite for learning and changed hip-hop forever. As one half of the beloved duo Gang Starr and the producer behind iconic tracks for Nas, The Notorious B.I.G., Jay-Z, and countless others, Premier has secured an undeniable spot on the rap producer Mount Rushmore. And it all started with one idea.
Yeah, DJ Premier from Texas.
Both of your parents are
Guru
educators,
from Boston.
and I'm curious, how did their professional life inform you?
Premier has secured an undeniable spot on the rap producer Mount Rushmore. And it all started with one idea.
Both of your parents are educators, and I'm curious, how did their professional life inform your career ambitions?
My mother taught art, which was more what I leaned towards, but my father taught biology. He eventually became the dean of arts and sciences at my school.
Yo, between his voice and Jadakiss voice, I don't know who got the most rasp. Like, jeez, he make me thirsty.
Both of your parents are educators, and I'm curious, how did their professional life inform your career ambitions?
My mother taught art, which was more what I leaned towards, but my father taught biology. He eventually became
but
the dean
DOC
of
had an
arts and sciences at
accident,
my
so
school.
he got
I went
an
to
excuse.
HBCU college, Prairie View A&M University. They pushed everything to being proud to be black but love everybody, and that's how I still carry myself out to this day.
And you mentioned that your mom was an art teacher. Did she sort of introduce you to creative space at a very early age?
I think
Definitely.
Jada and Primo had too many blunts. That was their problem. DOC had an accident, car accident. Well, yeah, that's a real friendship, man. When you think about it, how Dr. Dre still stuck by DOC, and DOC was writing all those rhymes and coaching Snoop, and yo, that's beautiful, man. Loyalty. Word.
You mentioned that your mom was an art teacher. Did she sort of introduce you to creative space at a very early age?
Definitely. Every day, as soon as from our hallway, which leads to our bedrooms, to our family room, as soon as you open the hallway door, she has an easel with a blank canvas and she's painting, playing her vinyl. She's every day painting. And she taught me in junior high. Then when I went to high school, she taught me there too. So everybody in our neighborhood, everybody had my mom as a teacher. Same thing with understanding records and stuff, because she collected so much vinyl.
Oh, that's what's up, yeah.
She's the one that said, if you touch that part of the record with your fingers and I see fingerprints, I'm gonna whip your ass. Like, that's where we're scared to. She said, you hold it like this. Yep. You know, so that was the rule. My role model will always be my dad. God bless him. He was always cool in any situation. I'm talking about bad situations, good situations, and he always had a way.
I don't want to keep talking over it. I don't want to keep talking over it. But yeah, rest in peace, Jay Dilla, no doubt.
My role model will always be my dad. God bless him. He was always cool in any situation. I'm talking about bad situations, good situations, and he always had a way to figure it out. And I used to just...
Nah, don't apologize. The comments keep it going, man. Feel free to comment. Don't apologize. I encourage everybody to give feedback and jump in the comments. That's what keeps the stream live. It ain't just me running my mouth. So do not apologize. Keep typing away.
Be like, man, I want to be as cool as him. And I'm pretty much as cool as him.
I understand one of your early mentors in music would go on to be the father of someone that many people watching the show might know, Travis Scott. Can you tell me a little bit about your relationship with his dad and what he taught you about music?
Travis's father, Travis's real name is Jack Webster.
Okay.
Jacques Webster, actually. And his dad is Jacques Webster Sr. We call him Jack. Jack's mom was my English teacher. And then Jack has a brother and a sister. He has a brother named Travis, and he has a sister named Sonora. They're literally across the street. As I got older, getting closer to almost junior high, we'd go over to the Webster's house anyway because they had a VCR. They were the first ones I knew with a VCR, and they would tape Soul Train. And I'd be like, yo, I can watch Soul Train over and over and over. I'd go over there, and Jack's playing the drums, like killing it. And he had a really dope drum set, and Travis was playing the bass, which is two of my influences when I make beats to this day is my drums and my bass because of them. And I was like, yeah, again, Kay, you can show me how to do that? Taught me how to play, started playing with them, jamming with them. Travis taught me how to play bass, started jamming with them. Next thing you know, I'm now taking that seriously. Once I got to that point of learning it and mastering it, that's when I started to apply that to what I do when it comes to music production. So yeah, it goes that far back.
To that point, you represent a generation of rap artists who grew up in a time before rap music existed.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see a difference between yourself and your contemporaries and how you think about the music and how you approach the music versus the later generations who grew up in a world where rap was fully mature at that point?
I was born in '66, so anybody from that generation all the way up to when rap started to evolve, into hip hop culture, now you'll be like, oh, that's that old school stuff or whatever. But for us, we were enjoying what our parents were playing. And so all the records from Aretha Franklin to Curtis Mayfield to The Emotions.
Yeah, that's real talk. And the main reason was when hip hop came out, all the music on the radio was all the disco stuff. And the radio would bombard you with the homogenized sound of disco and dance. And you just remember hearing all the good soulful funk, all types of records at the barbecues or you know what I mean? It just gave you this feeling. So we appreciated that music. I remember laying on my laying on the floor in my parents' house, and the TV's in the living room. We got one TV in the house. You know what I'm saying? I miss that though. One TV where the whole family got to watch and everybody get a chance to watch their show. Families was, come on, man. And anyway, I'm laying on the floor, TV's there, all the albums is on the floor in the rows. And I'm looking at all the fancy covers of the vinyl. And I remember like, man, curious on how this one sound, curious on how that one, loving this, and going through, records and watching my parents play the records and loving the Jackson 5 and like Funkadelic and their crazy ass covers and Earth, Wind and Fire with the pyramids. I mean, come on, man. How could that not grab your attention? You know what I'm saying? But yeah, it was a different thing now. There's so much separation now. And yeah. That was because the radio was playing bullshit. Hot 97 in New York City, one of the first big hip hop stations in the world, used to be a dance station where they used to play all the club and whatever music, because the Italians in New York used to love it. But as I said, when shit just starts sounding the same, hip hop was refreshing. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then I remember on the radio, after, what was it, 10 o'clock, it was all slow jams. It was, you know what I mean? BT used to be Midnight Love. I mean, come on, man. We slowed down from all that shit all day. You know what I'm saying? We got to go back to that. That dictated the energy. I want to hear all that rah-rah shit all 24 hours a day. You know what I mean? I'm old enough to know when you went to parties and the slow jams came on and you got to grab somebody and dance close. You used to wait for that. You know what I'm saying? As a guy, you should be a little nervous because you think the girl going to turn you down. But if she said yes, oh, man, that was heaven, man. Kidding me? Red light parties? Come on. Slow jams, come on. Get an excuse to fill up on a girl you got a crush on? Oh, come on, man. You know what I'm saying? Wasn't about twerking. You know what I'm saying? It was different energy. It still had that love and that crush energy. You know what I mean? It wasn't about freak. But it is what it is, man. Time changed. But the music and media dictates that shit. Yeah, exactly. That was the energy. But yeah, you know what I mean? Even watching your parents slow dance, even your grandparents slow dance, that was inspiring. Like, yo, what is this? You know what I mean? Even when Michael Jackson was young in the Jackson 5, he used to sing these love songs. He 10 years old. You swore he meant all that shit he was singing. All those love songs and sorrow songs, man. Ben, he's singing about a rat. You believed him that he loved this rat. Like, come on, man. Yeah, it's something about that era, man. That was, I'm out of town, down. My booty hole brown. Like, bruh, music is a joke now. I get it, though. Ratchet rules. The only problem is we take the joke too damn serious. Slow dance to that song, D.
To that point, you
Street
represent
Thumper, what up?
a generation of rap artists who grew up in a time before rap music existed.
Mhm.
Do you see a difference between yourself and your contemporaries and how you think about the music and how you approach the music versus the later generations who grew up in a world where rap was fully mature at that point?
I was born in '66, so anybody from that generation all the way up to when rap started to evolve, into hip hop culture, now you'll be like, oh, that's that old school stuff or whatever. But for us, we were enjoying what our parents were playing. And so all the records from Aretha Franklin to Curtis Mayfield to The Emotions, Minnie Riperton, Barry White, Al Green, everything Motown.
Mm-hmm.
All that stuff was like the building blocks, then it moved up, Heat Wave, Main Ingredient, Blue Magic, Parliament was later, I was a big James Brown fan, and then my mom was a concert buff. So she always took me to concerts, or the whole family would go. We all saw Ike and Tina Turner together. We'd always go see the Jackson 5 because they would play at the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo, and they would come out on the convertible, either Cadillacs or Oldsmobiles. I've probably seen the Jackson 5 at least 6-7 times as a kid.
Wow.
Because they were the only group that we saw where Michael and Marlon looked like kids. Jackie, Jermaine, and Tito looked a little older, but Marlon and Michael were like the same height, and they just looked our age. And to see them dance like that, the outfits they wore and the music they made, we were just like addicted to the Jackson 5.
So you were born in '66, so you're about 14 years old when hip hop, happens on a national scale. Do you remember what that feeling was like the first time you heard, I'm assuming it's Rapper's Delight?
I was blown away already because my grandfather is from the South, lived in Brooklyn. Every summer, our routine was summertime, we're going to see all of our family. And he was in a jazz band and used to always show us pictures off of his photo albums of everywhere he's been in the world. He was in World War II, but when he was in his jazz band, he's like, yeah, this is when I was in France and Germany. And his wife, Rooney, who's my step-grandmother, she used to always go, Billy, you always got to show off all the places you've been. But for me, I was like, man, I want to do that.
What was it like, coming from Houston to be in New York City, and this is, I imagine, like 75, 76, as a kid? What was the city like and what was the energy?
It was just always amazing because everywhere we'd go, I'd always see somebody stealing somebody's tires from their bike. And I was like, this is an amazing city. Like, they just steal shit in broad daylight. So for me, I was fascinated in that way. My first hip hop bug was because I was very into video games and I was into pinball machines. After a game, my grandfather took me to Playland, which was very popular back in those days.
That was in 42nd Street?
Yep. We go to Playland and I would challenge people to play me in pinball because I was very good at it at that time. I go outside and hear music,
Pinball,
and there's
wow.
these guys breaking and popping and doing their thing, and the guys got the big boom box, and I'm looking at it, got the fat laces, and I'm just like, where'd they get those big
Yeah, I remember the
laces
game
from?
rooms,
I'd like to get some,
man.
and they didn't.
Wow, I remember the arcade game rooms in Manhattan. I forgot all about it till he said that. That's crazy.
And they got the fat laces, and I'm just like, where'd they get those big laces from? I'd like to get some, you know, and they didn't look foreign. It just looked like something I wanted to be down with because I could identify with it.
How are you from just outside of Houston finding out about records or learning about like how the culture is evolving?
My mother and I were really heavy into record shopping together. So every time I went with her, she'd always be like, okay, you get to pick 3 records, 3 albums, or I'd buy 45s. And we did that on the regular. So I started having a nice collection where when my sister and them would go to house parties, they would ask me, can we borrow some of Chris's records? And I'd be like, no, unless I get to go. And I started being known for having the latest records because anything that was new and hot, I always just kept in tune to it. And my mom would buy them for me. I was just addicted to records. I wanted to have everything.
Do you remember when your interest moved squarely to hip hop?
The Fresh Fest, it came to Houston at Astroworld. We saw Run DMC, Nucleus, Fat Boys, UTFO, Houdini, Flash and the Furious 5, Dougie Fresh and the Get Fresh crew with MC Ricky D. And go to see all of these different artists, it was like, I have to do this.
Yeah, man. Know the feeling.
My biggest advantage as a creative was meeting so many people that I dreamed of meeting, you know, from doing what I do, that appreciate my work. Meeting, you know, LL and Run DMC and Marley Marl, who's my favorite producer, and meeting Chuck D from Public Enemy.
Marley was my favorite too.
Dre, you know, Ice Cube, meeting so many actors, producers, filmmakers, meeting Prince, and him saying that Step in the Arena is one of his favorite albums. I'm like, all right, I'm good.
I'm curious, living down there, obviously, you know, with such limited access, how were you figuring out even just simple DJing stuff?
I started off just knowing how to blend.
Okay.
I could really blend really fast. Put 2 records on, and I could really get it to blend that quick and keep the party going. I didn't have any turntables. Friends of mine had the equipment. They would let me use theirs because I had the records. So that was like, let me learn on your stuff. I'll bring the records to your parties. As I'm about to start my freshman year in college in 1984, man, they were doing a party outside the Memorial Center, which is one of our hangouts. And I see this guy, a little skinny guy with a shag in the back, like a Jerry curl, but waves on the top. I'm sitting there like, who is this dude? And he's scratching 5 Minutes of Funk by Houdini. And he just keeps starting it over and starting it. And I just remember he kept going. Now the party didn't stop till I walked in. Now the party, and I'm just like, you know, like, I gotta meet this guy. After he was done, I was like, yo, who are you? He said, I just started going to school here. And I was like, yo, will you teach me how to do that? He was like, come to my dorm room and I'll show you. And I would just practice in his dorm all the time because once he showed me the fundamentals of it, I knew what I wanted to make it sound like when I do it.
Yeah.
And I'm from the era where if you copied somebody, you could get into a fight for being a biter. You know, it was that serious. Like, oh, don't you bit my style, and somebody would punch you in the face for biting a style. And that's what I still live from, is that. So with him, I didn't want to do it the way he did it because he had a certain technique on how he used to scratch the record. And I started doing my own, and that started making people say, man, this guy, you know, I wasn't DJ Premier yet, but you know, I was DJ Chris.
Okay. And then Waxmaster C.
Then Waxmaster C. And then, you know, obviously when I joined Gangstar, right before Stu Fine, that owned Wild Pitch Records, like, you know, we don't like that name, Waxmaster C. And I'm like, well, I do. And he's like, nah, yeah, you know, see if you come up with something else. And that's what I told my mom. She said, why don't you make a list? Make a list on a piece of paper and narrow it down to which ones, you know, I had DJ Scratch and Cut. I had DJ Platter, because I was like, there's no Platter DJs out there. Just anything affiliated. I had DJ Needle Drop, you know, and Premier was one of them. My mom looked at the list and was like, that's the one. She said, because it's not like a world premiere at a movie or something like that, but it's still like your first. And I called them back because I still hadn't officially signed. I said, what about DJ Premier? They were like, that's it.
That's facts.
When you go to college, you are a computer science major.
Mm-hmm.
What were you thinking you were going to do?
That was more to really to please my dad. As far as computer science, I mean, I just wanted anything that was close to anything electrical, because since I was already good at taking things apart and doing, installing everybody's car stereos, I was into drilling it precise and not even using a measuring, using a ruler. I could just figure it out. I figured that was the closest thing that I would have to fall back on. But it's crazy because all the languages I learned, Fortran and COBOL and BASIC, none of them even exist anymore. But I figured once I graduate, I'll get a job and all of that stuff. But then I met this MC that came to my school a year later as well. His name is Theodore Campbell. He called himself Top Ski.
Okay.
And he's always be like, yo, I can use that mic. And I would just start playing. I might be playing a break beat or something. And he would just get on the mic. Then he'd be like, yo, I can get on the turntable. And I'm like, I'll scratch. He'd get on and start doing stuff. And I'm like, wow, this guy's good at everything. And now we became a team. And then we had two more, another MC named Sugar Pop. And we had a dancer that was like a Flavor Flav. His name was Stylie T. And we became the MCs in control. My biggest early supporter was definitely my mom. She's like, baby, if you're gonna go to New York,
MVP, right?
And do this, make sure you go all the way in, but I know you gonna make a name for yourself. And my father said the same thing. He said, make sure they know who you are, and not just in New York, all over the world. Mission accomplished.
That's crazy, D.
I understand you worked at a record store while you were in college, but somehow, in a pre-internet age, you end up making a demo that makes its way from Houston all the way to Stu Fine of Wild Pitch Records office. How does that happen?
When I got the job at it was called Sound Waves, the most popular store in Houston if you really, really want to find what you're looking for. Carlos was the 12-inch buyer.
Carlos Garza, right?
Yes. Didn't know Carlos yet when I just started going. We got cool. He was bugging that I knew so many records from New York. And I was like, well, man, I could tell you what's hot in New York because I had all the mixtapes when I would go, not the mixtapes, I was taping the mix when I would go to New York, going back and forth.
So you're just taping the radio?
Yeah, taping Red Alert, Chuck Chill Out, and Marley Marl with Mr.
Red
Magic.
Alert.
And just bring those back. And I'd be like, this is The Bridge by MC Shan. He would find it, order it, and he would get the 12-inch. He's like, man, you know so much. I'll see if I can get you a job here. I was like, I'd love to work here. Once he got me a job there, he became, Billboard was just starting a rap chart. So Carlos became the reporter for that region of the South to report what's popping and what's selling. Stu Fine, that owned Wild Pitch Records, was calling to see how my records moving. Carlos says, man, there's this guy that's coming to New York. You really gotta check out, man. He's like different. And Stu was just like, tell him to contact me. He heard our demo. He said, I like you, I don't like your MC. And they had Gangstar, Chill Rob G, and Lati at the time, and they wanted me in Gangstar.
I was gonna say, although you are synonymous with Gangstar, you actually were part of the third iteration of the group.
Mm-hmm. We were good because we were called MCs in Control. I don't know why we changed our name to the Inner Circle Posse.
This is you and Top.
Yeah, well, me, Top, Sugar Pop, and Stylie. But then as it came to making the demos, the demo that went to New York was just me and Top. And Stu was like, his voice is just not working. I'm gonna put you on a real studio. You do the exact same demo. And if I like Top, I'll be interested in possibly signing him. He did it in a real studio, real mics. And he was like, nope. Guru was looking for a new DJ at the time because the other two members were having it out and then not coming to stay in New York and struggle it out. So he's like, well, Gangstar is my name and Big Suge's name because they created Gangstar. Guru was like, yo, we gotta get Premier. I was like, if I can't bring Top, I'm not gonna do it. Got to a point where Top was just frustrated with how long it was taking, and he said, man, I'm going to the military. And I was there when the recruiting officer came and got him. So now that he's gone, I call Stu and say, hey man, Top just went to the military for 4 years, and I'm by myself. He's like, we want you in Gangstar.
Moving to New York to join Gangstar, Premier set out to learn production and eventually perfected a sound that would garner him a level of acclaim unsurpassed by any producer in rap history. But as his star shone increasingly bright, attracting collaborations with the biggest names in rap, His Gangstar partner Guru would pursue life outside of the group before tragedy would ultimately end the Gangstar era forever. You join Gangstar, and now you and Guru are partners. Up until that point, you knew what it was to be a DJ. You knew you wanted to be a part of the scene. It was all enthusiasm and just like, I'll just figure it out, whatever it is.
Yeah, because Guru said, you're not getting half of the money if you're just going to scratch on the albums. You got to learn how to either produce. And I was like, well, what does a producer actually do? He said, you do the tracks and mix it. And I'm like, what's mixing? Me and Guru started to build with each other, and we did the first album together. I didn't know how to make beats sharp yet. So it was me, Slow-Mo Sonnenfeld, who owned the studio, Such a Sound. And the three of us would be on the SP-1200. You know, I'll be like, yo, I'll do the snare, and we'd be side by side, and I'll go, ta, and I'll go, yo, you hit that. And Guru hit the, and we'd be like, yeah, that sounds good, high five.
Mine was
you do
good.
The 808. Boom, 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 listen back. All right, just lay that down. That's how we did the first album, No More Mr. Nice Guy. I haven't seen Slow-Mo in over 20-something years.
Wow.
Probably 25 years. And I told him I was coming to Israel to do a gig. And he took care of us. We went all over the town, had good food, went digging at the record store. And Slow-Mo was like, man, remember the first time you wanted to fight me when you came in because you brought your turntables and a coffin? And I thought in the studio you set it up and do it like the way we did the 4-track demos. And Slow-Mo's very cocky, and he'd be like, you don't need that thing right now. You don't need that, you know. You can set that up later. I'm like, what? Who the fuck you talking to? I'm setting my shit up now. And Guru's like, that's not how it goes in the studio. You can lay the tracks down. You can do your scratches last. I'm like, oh, you know, I didn't know. Once I started to understand the process of making records, now I'm like, okay, let me start to really hone in on learning everything, mixing. If I wanted to do an echo there or I wanted to do a delay here, what's doing that? And I was like, I gotta have a sound that's my sound. And I started working on my sound. Come 92, when we did Daily Operation, that's when I was like, I got a sound. Because King of Chill used to let me come to his mom's house to learn it. He was like, I got one that you could learn on, but you gotta bring your own drum machine. So I bought a little of Les's drum machine, and he would just let me practice my sound. And I started working on my sound. Come 92, when we did Daily Operation, that's when I was like, I got a sound. Because King of Chill used to let me come to his mom's house to learn it. He was like, I got one that you could learn on, but you gotta bring your own drum machine. So I bought a little of Les's drum machine, and he would just let me practice on it. And then I finally started to tap out the beats to the where I was like, I'm definitely got it now. And the last beat I ever made at his mom's house was X-Girl the Next Girl.
Oh, wow.
I was like, check out this beat. I think this is gonna be a hit. Played it for him, and then it was one of our biggest hits off of our career.
Did you sit down and talk about how the business was going to work, or like how you guys were going to function, you know, what the economics of it were going to be, or any of that kind of stuff?
The fact that we were both college educated and both,
that's primo.
Grew up with our parents, we already knew the basics of how to balance.
Ice-T just did a Drink Champs. You should check that out. Drink Champs podcast.
Balance a checking account. We both shared the same bank account until we parted ways in like 2004, and he wanted to do his own thing. But prior to that, we've always had the same account.
You guys obviously go from being perfect strangers to now, you know, in a group and then roommates.
Yeah, I'm on Twitch, man.
A few months.
Yeah.
You can see the video on Twitch.
You know, obviously there comes to be friction anytime, you know, you're in a creative partnership like that, particularly
or
you're
YouTube
sharing space on top of that.
We lived together from 1988 to
Link in bio.
1994 when Hard to Earn dropped. That was the first time we finally got our own cribs. And
it's crazy. Group and then roommates within a few months, kind of stuff.
The fact that we were both college educated and both, grew up with our parents, we already knew the basics of how to balance a checking account. We both shared the same bank account until we parted ways in like 2004, and he wanted to do his own thing. But prior to that, we've always had the same account.
You guys.
Hold up. I gotta do this. I heard other people do this during their live. Shout out to everybody watching on YouTube. If you're on YouTube, smash the like button. That helps the algorithms and more people can see the stream. So you don't gotta comment. You don't gotta do nothing else. Even if you go away, smash that like button before you leave. Appreciate it.
Obviously, you go from being perfect strangers to now, in a group and then roommates within a few months.
Yeah.
And, obviously, there comes to be friction anytime, you're in a creative partnership like that, particularly when you're sharing space on top of that.
We lived together from 1988 to 1994 when Hard to Earn dropped. That was the first time we finally got our own cribs. And,
That's crazy.
And at that time, Guru had 3 and 5 cars, so we were not making millions, and we were still just that comfortable with how we did our thing, and had a massive crew with us, loaning them money and taking care of everybody at the bar and all that type of stuff.
Appreciate that.
In my career, what have I learned from my biggest mistake? Being good to too many people that ain't good to you in return, financially, friend-wise, it just goes with the territory. The only thing is, just get those scissors and cut them off and keep it pushing.
When the press talked about you, people tried to put you in a little bit of a box as a group, and it became like, oh, they're like jazz rap or something like that. How did you guys internally think about that when you started seeing people kind of trying to brand you in that way? And did you make moves to consciously move out of that?
Guru hated that label. He hated it. I did too. But for him, he hated it because he was like, man, I want the streets to love us. And I was like, they already do. He's like, yeah, but they keep calling us jazz rap. And he said, jazz rap is rapping about jazz, like saying, and hear the horn coming down, and hear the drummer. He said, that's jazz rap.
And that's so funny because this man did Jazzmatazz Volume 1, 2. I don't know how many volumes he did. Like, the irony of it all, right? The irony of it all. That was his thought of jazz rap. I think he made it a problem in his mind because Tribe Called Quest was jazz rap. They sampled a lot of jazz. Mobb Deep sampled a lot of jazz. As you said earlier, Diggable Planets. Like, so many people sample jazz. Pharcyde. Dilla sampled jazz. It was just the way he was looking at it. You know what I'm saying?
I want the streets to love us. And I was like, they already do. He's like, yeah, but they keep calling us jazz rap. And he said, jazz rap is rapping about jazz, like saying, and hear the horn coming down, and hear the drummer. He said, that's jazz rap. We're talking about shit that's going on, who's going to take the weight, and just to get a rep, and even that was based off of him getting robbed, and the guy died in a car chase with us chasing after him with the police. And the guy dies, hits an ice cream truck and passes away, and on impact. Next day we did the record. So the jazz rap thing got to him so much that I was like,
that's crazy.
You know what?
I never knew that story.
I
never knew that was based off of real life. That's crazy.
He called us jazz rap, and he said jazz rap is rapping about jazz, like saying, and hear the horn coming down, and hear the drummer. He said, that's jazz rap. We're talking about shit that's going on, who's going to take the weight, and just to get a rep, and even that was based off of him getting robbed, and the guy died in a car chase with us chasing after him with the police. And the guy dies, hits an ice cream truck and passes away, and on impact. Next day we did the record. So
6
the jazz
of them.
rap
Wow.
thing got to him so much that I was like, you know what? When we do, it was going all the way to Daily Operation. Hard to Earn, I stripped everything down purposely to not even have any jazz samples except for mostly the voice. which is an upright bass sample, but I started using space sounds and weird, just galactical stuff, just anything to stray away to show that we're good on any sound that we put out there and create.
In that period of 88 to say 94, hip hop music is changing radically every 6 months, 9 months.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always been curious how artists like yourself in that moment were able to be in front of the trends. How were you guys staying on top of things and sort of forecasting the way that the sounds were going to change, tempos, all that?
For us, we were really out there keeping up with everything happening. I mean, we were really addicted to going out. Guru, he had to go out all the time. He's never like, I'm gonna chill this weekend. That's just how he is. And everybody that knows him, you're bored and 20 other friends don't want to go nowhere. Call him. He's going. Yeah, where we going? We were really into everything. Same thing when we met Biggie. Mr. C lived down the block from us. He used to stress me to listen to his Biggie demo tape, and I was like, yeah, and kind of brush him off. See Mr. C again. Yo, and I'm talking about, and C can have an attitude. Yo, Biggie Smalls, man. I'm like, all right. Maybe 3 days later, Guru's like, yo, you gotta hear this guy Biggie Smalls down the block. He's dope. I'm going to freestyle with him. I'm like, where he's at? And he's on Fulton and Washington. All right, I'll go with you. Suge is with us. Dap is with us. Lil Kim's there. We don't even know she's rapping. And Nino and Chico and Clep, everybody. And Biggie's out there just rhyming. And he's already a big Gangstar fan. And that's how we all got cool. Way before he even had a record. Party and Bullshit hadn't even been out yet. And that was now our new hangout. We don't go hang out with Big. Chubb Rock lived in our neighborhood. Lady of Rage, that's how I met her. And she got frustrated with not getting the deal and getting nothing popping in New York. She said, I'm going to see if I can find Dr. Dre. I'm like, yeah, okay. We have a Gangstar show at the Palladium on Sunset Boulevard. And she goes, yo, I found Dr. Dre and he signed me to this new label called Death Row. And I'm like, Death Row? She's like, yeah, he just started a brand new label. And I'm on the list. She said he got an album called The Chronic coming out. And you're going to see me on there.
Yeah, Rage was from Philly. I believe.
Around the time
I believe
of Hard
Lady
to
Rage
Earn,
was from Philly.
Your career starts to go through a bit of a metamorphosis. You do the records on Illmatic, records on Ready to Die, then solo works with the Gangstar Foundation guys, with J. Rue and Group Home, and then kind of capping
I'm
with
sorry, I'm
Reasonable
bugging.
Doubt,
Not Philly.
Jay-Z's debut.
Eve was from
I
Philly.
feel like that
Hold
really
on,
elevated
my bad,
you.
my bad. I don't want to state the wrong facts. My bad. Eve was from Philly. Lady Rage is from Virginia, Farmville, VA. That's all I gotta say. Come on, man. She had it in the rhymes. She's from VA. My bad. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? That Missy Elliott state. Yeah. I got it confused with where Eve was from. Cause Dre loved Eve too. I think Dre was trying to sign Eve at one time, but Rough Riders grabbed her up. Cause one thing about Dr. Dre, he the king of the West Coast, but he loved East Coast MCs. That's a fact. Come on, Corrupt was from Philly. You know what I'm saying? Corrupt was from Philly. Like, he loved East Coast rappers.
Around the time of Hard to Earn, your career starts to go through a bit of a metamorphosis. You do the records on Illmatic, records on Ready to Die, then solo works with the Gangstar Foundation guys, with J. Rue and Group Home, and then kind of capping with Reasonable Doubt, Jay-Z's debut. I feel like that really elevated you relative to where you were, both with your competitive.
You know what the funniest shit about this? When you look at this guy, you like, this guy knows? I'm like, this guy knows? I would never see him in any of the spots That's so crazy. Well, this is what we talked about earlier, man. Like, you see what he's doing. He's interviewing the legends and sharing the stories. But we expect the next generation to know off the bat. You see him. He's doing it. It's not a black dude. It's not a Latin dude. It's not Latin's the wrong word, but you know what I'm saying. Yeah, I assume that with the conversations with D. I'm gonna check out your IG. So you got a podcast too? But yeah, this is what I'm saying. It's like yes, celebrate the people. Yeah, they do the homework because they're not from the culture, but we should do the homework even from the culture. But did you got, you got Questlove. Questlove is a big student. But there's a lot more. We need a lot more people that put in that time like Questlove. I'm not mad at it. I'm just saying I always notice. And it probably is, and to be fair, it probably is more fascinating when you're on the outside. Because it's a different perspective when you're on the outside. Because when you're on the inside, it's just like, I'm just living life. You're not realizing how you're writing history. You're not realizing how shit is so phenomenal. So I do get it.
Peers at the time, but also even within the group. And I'm curious, did that run of records change the dynamic between you and Guru at all, or how things operated within the group?
I want to say yes and no, but the fact that he was cool with everybody, so he was never hating on them.
Okay.
So he never had a problem with Big J, Nas, anybody. But Guru's main complaint, again, was just me. He always felt like I was getting more accolades than he was. And I was always like, yo, everybody loves you just as much. It's like, no one's like, oh yeah, we only like Premier, not you. And I said, and you're not, and obviously this is pre-social media era, where are you getting that from? Really, anytime we would fight over stuff, it'd be nonsense. And plus, with his alcoholism, it intensifies even more. But one thing I was always good at, I don't want to call myself like a psychiatrist or anything, but I always knew, talk him down off the ledge and just be like, dude, it's gonna be all right. Everything's gonna be fine. From fights he'd get into with people to people that would do disrespectful things to him outside of when I wasn't around. I'd be like, yo, I'll take care. Everything was always, I'll take care of it.
That's a heavy
Was that
burden.
hard to, you guys are, in this committed relationship as business partners, as creative partners, and you're living together, and he obviously has an issue with alcohol. And, how did you sort of deal with that and navigate it?
I loved what we had. The Gangstar relationship and and we were consistent with records. Every album was consistent. Every album was successful. I love what we had, and he loved what we had. So we don't want to break that up. And it just, through all those fights, and we had many, we'd always go back in the lab and make heat and laugh. And then I was always saying to people, how can we make that many albums and do that many tours and successfully if we really hated each other? You can't do it.
It was more like brothers and just...
Yeah, so it definitely wasn't a friendship. It was definitely a brotherhood. Definitely brothers.
Is it true that Now Your Mind was a sub at you?
Yep. We got into a big fight. And I had food poisoning, so I was I was throwing up so much. He was having an argument with somebody in our house. He got violent. I'm trying to separate him, but I'm weak, but I'm strong enough to hold him, you know. But when he's really mad, he's strong, man. He's like, get over, you know, like really get off of me. I'm holding him. I'm like, dude, I'm gonna let you go, but you better not hit me, because I'm out of breath. I'm so weak. He goes, all right, I'm cool. I let him go. We're still breathing heavy, and he just uppercuts me. I'm talking about catches all of this. And I just said, motherfucker, and there was an iron. I just remember swinging it, boom, 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 just swinging it uncontrollably, because I'm just blacking out now, because I really cannot handle anymore because I'm that weak. But I just remember the blood shooting out his head, and it's shooting out so much that it's running down his face. And I swear to God, that DMX cover, Flesh of My Flesh, Blood of My Blood, every time I see that cover, I think of Goo, because that's what he looked like. Now I caught myself like, oh my God, now I'm trying to stop the blood, and I'm holding him. I'm like, we gotta go to the hospital. From there, they sew him up, and White Man Can't Jump was about to come out, but they were doing a hip hop soundtrack as well, and they had just paid us, you know, I think it was like 40 grand, which was a big deal back then, to do one song. And they were like, you gotta record it tomorrow because it's due. And we didn't know the fight was gonna happen. They said, if you don't wanna do it, just give him the money back. He said, nah, I'm gonna do the song. We go to D&D. He said, turn all the lights on. And he just looked at me and just said, yo, dude, you're dead wrong. You never had the skills like mine. I write the ill-type rhymes now, reach them up. And he just looking at me. And while the beat's playing, I'm just looking at him, and he's just looking at me. One take. And I remember when he's finished with it, he goes, are we good? I was like, yeah, we're good. He goes, and fuck you. And he just knocks the whole mic over and just storms out of the building. But we got the take. And now your mind's a classic.
Crazy.
Do I ever get creatively blocked? Yes. There's just times it's just not working. From music to your life, your family, everything. But the one thing I do is I never, ever quit. Never will you ever see me quit anything.
Crazy.
Around 1996,
Yeah, man, so this is the Idea Generation YouTube. You can check it out on your leisure. But yeah, I like to show stuff like this to inspire creatives, producers, songwriters. Y'all know how I do by now. If you don't know how I do, this is how I do. I go by the name of Kerry Crucial Brothers, and I'm always looking to inspire and help creatives stay focused. You know what I mean? And on that note, I'm going to wrap it up, shut it down. Hope everybody have a good holiday weekend, I guess. I know the 4th is like Tuesday. Do you got Monday off? How many people get Monday off? I know the banks are open. So I don't know. Yeah, check it out. Check it out. Idea Generation on YouTube. Just Google DJ Premier interview or some shit. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know if some of y'all got Monday off, so it's a 4-day weekend. I don't know. But anyway, enjoy. Happy summer. Happy summer and all that. And once again, if you haven't checked out my bio, I do have a masterclass, and I do have membership services. And I'm about to start a Patreon. I know I'm late with that. I'm about to start a Patreon. It'll be for everybody, for Creatives Plus. But Yeah, man. I'm looking for songs for film and TV. Happy summer. Yeah, people charge different tiers. $5, $10, $15, $20. I think I'm only gonna do 2 tiers. Maybe 1 tier, I don't know. The tier stuff gets confusing sometimes. Appreciate y'all. D, Kai, Yaya, and everybody that been silent. Hi, man. That's Ether was here earlier. Ether Shakur. Alan. Can't forget. All right. I'll see y'all soon. Appreciate that.
Why wouldn't you let him be a fighter?
For what?
Well, I mean, you're a fighter. I mean, why?
I had to be a fighter.
Can't anybody see? You've gotta walk or fight it. Never find a way, regardless of what they say. How can it feel this long? From this moment, how can it feel this wrong? Storm in the morning, feeling no more can say.
Extra, extra, it's Mr. Headlines, who signed every contract and missed the deadlines. 40 days, 40 nights, trying to live up to the hype. It's the road less traveled, it's the one with Mr. Flights. Oh, hit me up like, what you scared of heights? Know your sister tired of working, gotta do her something nice. I'm like, don't you know I stay up for fair